Yeah. All right. And what is going on, everybody? It is Saturday night, and next podcast is live. Huge shout out to the chat. What is going on, people? Good to see so many people in so early, getting ready for this show, Saturday, prime time, talking games. And guys, I am really, really excited for tonight's show. We have two more people who have never been on the show before, but don't worry, they are podcast professionals. And I can't wait to hear their thoughts, their opinions on the topics we got. Again, huge shout out to the chat. I saw my brother Fame from back in the day, talking like Hard Knock Gamers. Saw him in the chat. Of course, Squeamish, Sovereign, what is going on? Phantom Beat, what is up? Everybody in the chat, it is good to see you guys. I do want to give a shout out to the three newest subscribers to this channel, which is Ice Cold, Alex Richard, and Fox Mulder. Yo, thank you guys for supporting this channel. I really do appreciate it. But guys, we got to get into the intros. And I'm going to save our special guests for last. You know, kind of build up the suspense, everything like that. So, first of all, he is a part of the starting lineup every Saturday here on Next Podcast. He is down with that first-person, third-person military shooter, Predator.
What up, everybody? Man, we got a good show for y'all tonight, so make sure y'all tune in and listen. Don't leave. You never know what we're going to say. We got a shitload of topics. Hopefully, we don't get to the dumbass topic he wants to get into. And let's go.
Curveball, baby.
Hour-long curveball.
Dude, you know what's funny? People say, you know, there are slow gaming news weeks and stuff like that. I will say I don't believe in that, because when it comes to, you know, not so much breaking news coming out, there's always things to go back and talk about, kind of get a little deeper into thought when it comes to gaming, and I think a couple of those topics are in there tonight. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say, Pred. But on that note, moving on, you guys might know him as the hardcore Gears gamer, but I got news for you. He plays other games, people. Crispy!
What's up? What's up, chat? Like to see some new faces up in here. And yeah, I've been playing the Division 2, and I just got done playing Mortal Kombat with my girl. So, you know, I do play other games.
Did she whip your ass again, dude?
She got me a couple times, definitely. hey, you gotta take it like a champ, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's what she told you with that whole reach around scenario, right?
Oh yeah, you know it, baby.
Yeah. Like I said, it's going to be a fun show, Crispy. I can't wait to get into the topics with you either. But we have more people to introduce, and my lights are flickering. So I know what that means. Everybody in the chat, I know your lights are flickering as well, because it's time to stand up, show that respect, kiss that ring, the Don.
Hey guys, I heard the request. You guys needed some adult supervision, so here I am.
Definitely. As you heard off air, we definitely need adult supervision right now. It's a little crazy, man.
Yeah, well, you know, it is. It is what it is.
And it's kind of bad when the Don answers the call for adult supervision. That's all I got to say.
You know you're in a bad place when that's the case. You start questioning what has gone wrong in my life.
Yeah,
and how did I get here?
I'm starting to reflect a little bit, brother, but I'm stubborn though. It might take a little while for me to recognize the truth with that situation, man.
Yeah, you know what's also stubborn? Your facial hair not coming in. All right, let's keep on going.
I just shaved before the show. Oh my goodness, man. Snaps was like, why are you shaving for the show? You're not on camera, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But yo, next on the list we are getting no, damn, man. Lawnmower 2.0. Dude, I'm not gonna mention that unless we ever get them as a sponsor. Okay.
Listen here, Bot's got like this Nair facial wash that he uses. It takes off his beard, but also takes off his eyebrows.
That's horrible. What do you...
He just likes the smell. That's all.
Wow, disrespectful.
Burnt peaches is what it smells like.
see the normal panel members, because K Mega is on vacation right now. I can see them. They're trying to step it up a little bit more, trying to give a little bit more back at the moderator of the year over here. But we're getting into our special guests, and they're both from the GRG podcast, which airs every Friday. Not only that, but they are both on the Smash podcast. I am going to introduce the creator of the Smash podcast right now. Some people call him Baby Bot. They say he sounds like me. I don't think so. But my brother, Bloody!
Hey, what's going on, Papa Bot? I'm just glad to be here. It's been something that we've been talking about for almost a year now, of you wanting the two of us on the show, because everyone gets us confused every time we start talking. But
Bloody, I got so hard, man. You're new.
I'm just saying, it's something that we've been talking. It's something that we've been saying for a year.
Jeez.
I'm just saying.
Okay. All right.
I've been waiting patiently.
Keep on talking.
Bloody is feeling some type of way tonight, and this show might get really interesting. But brother, it is good to have you on.
I'm glad to be here finally.
It's good to have you on. K Mega did say I do have to time you on topics because you think of every topic like a book of War and Peace, and you just go through word for word. So I'm gonna keep an eye on you, bro. I'm just saying.
Well, K Mega's method is different than yours because he uses like a sundial out there.
Dude, he said this show's gonna run late. I'm like, that's no different than when you're on, dude.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, he does make a point that K Mega uses a sundial. So if you at least use an hourglass, a sand, one of those, you're already ahead.
I'm definitely ahead. All digital, baby. All digital. But let me get to the next special guest. One of the guys on GRG that I consider one of the more common sense gamers out there when it comes to gaming topics. He's cool, calm, collected. It is my pleasure to introduce Operation.
Ooh, what an honor. I live up to that during the show too.
He's gonna go crazy tonight now. Like it's gonna go off.
It's good to be here. I only been here after so long ago, but glad you invited me over. I know Kevin's he's doing his little downtime right now, but it's good to be here. It's gonna be a crazy night, man. That's all I can say.
Nice, bro. And I do want to say to Bloody and Operation, guys. Again, I appreciate. I threw it out there. I put out the kind of like distress light. I needed a couple more people in tonight because K Mega and his ego are like two separate panel members. So I needed two people to come and fill in for him, and you guys answered the call, and I really, really do appreciate that, guys.
That's what we're here to do. That's what family does.
Of course, man.
Nice. Yeah. GRG, the panel of GRG, they are an extended family member of the next podcast. We are in like each other's DMs. We're talking shit. We're talking games. It's all good. So this is gonna be really natural. I think it's gonna flow really well. And speaking of flowing, let's get into the first topic: Halo Infinite. Guys, there is a toy conference going on, and Halo Nerf and Mega Bloks unveiled their new Halo Infinite toys. So you have Nerf guns, and you have the Mega Bloks kind of like vehicle sets. I'm going to switch over to show you exactly what the Nerf guns look like. I couldn't get any really good pictures when it comes to the vehicles, the Mega Bloks vehicles, but I will let you...
Is the podcast sponsored by Nerf? What's going on here?
If they lined my pocket, I will not tell you, sir.
If you want sponsors, just go out there and say it, man. What the hell is this?
I need sponsors, people. But no. When it comes down to it, I saw the new BR. I absolutely love the new BR. I haven't bought a Nerf gun in I don't know how long, but I am definitely looking at these like I kind of want them all. Let's start with Bloody, because Bloody, he's into anime, he's into kind of like the toy scene and stuff like that. Bloody, have you seen like the new Nerf guns, the new Mega Bloks sets for Halo Infinite?
Yeah, actually, I've seen the new Nerf guns, and that actually seeing what they did with them and kind of how they work is actually really cool to see because Nerf has actually been doing a lot of collaborations with a lot of different brands. I know that they have a couple collaborations with Fortnite, especially. So seeing the fact that they're doing a line specifically with Halo and just kind of seeing how they work and everything is actually really cool.
For the people out there, how do they work? What were they taught? What's different about them than any other Nerf gun then?
Some of the more common Nerf guns have to be preloaded individually, but a lot of the newer ones are starting to have similar, more magazine styles. So they're actually able to hold a couple of the foam darts instead. But there are some like the pistols and things like those are still individual shots that you have to load each one per. But the fact that they're starting to do a lot more, and the fact that Nerf has also been kind of expanding with the fact that they're doing more automated guns, so they're battery powered and stuff like that.
Battery powered, man. That's a drawback for me, to be really honest with you. But I don't want to put 3D batteries into my Nerf gun or whatnot. But I don't know if you know Halo follower Bloody Knuckles, but he came out and he tried to point out certain things when it came to the Nerf guns, when it came to the Mega Blocks. Now, with the Mega Blocks, what he tried to point out was there is a boat with a turret on it. So I would guesstimate as much as Halo follower that the new Halo Infinite, there's going to be some type of boat action going on where you're fighting on the water and stuff like that. But he also, with the designs of the Nerf guns, basically focusing in on the handgun. The handgun looks like the classic Halo handgun, but with a spanker look to it. Like if a handgun and a spanker, which is the old school rocket launcher, were kind of like slammed together. And he really went off on on this ledge here, off on this limb, talking about weapon customization. What do you think these toys, if anything, what do you think they say about the game Halo Infinite? Are you in Halo followers kind of like camp with the weapon customization and stuff like that? And what do you think about the boat as well? Which I feel the boat is pretty much a no-brainer, but what do you think, bro?
I mean, knowing the fact that there has been talks, I think that it would be something different and something that could be interesting, because we've known that 343 has been saying that what they were doing with Infinite, it was going to be something more unique and kind of being a mix of old and new, but they wanted Halo to really stand out and be, it's still going to be iconic. It's still Halo, but they wanted to do something different with the way it is. So if they started adding like customized weapons, I think it'd be interesting to how it works, because we've seen a lot more games introduce weapon customization. So kind of seeing how that could play into Halo Infinite would be very unique with everything. So I'm kind of interested. I don't know if it is a possibility, because it may have been something that they talked about at one point, but they haven't solidified. But I would say as we get closer to E3 time, we'll start hearing more, because that's when they're going to start really talking about a lot. But right now, it's still just kind of one of those things to take with a grain of salt. But if it is, it's interesting. I'd be all for it, because of the fact that it's something that people wanted in Gears, and it's something they introduced in Gears Tactics. So why not Halo?
That's a great point right there. It's one of, Halo. It's one of the pillars, if not the pillar, that Xbox was built on. When the 360 came along, that other pillar was definitely Gears of War, and we all know Forza. So, when it comes down to it, I've been hearing more of a more kind of like open world RPG style Halo for Halo Infinite. So customization for armor, I'm kind of expecting, but when it comes to weapons, that's really, really interesting. Operation, the new Halo weapons from Nerf, the new Halo vehicles, the whole boat thing, I think is a no-brainer, but I want to know what you think about that, especially with kind of like leaks coming out that the new Halo is going to be a more kind of like open world, go left or go right type situation. But what do you think about Halo followers' idea of customizable weapons, because I think this would be the first time in the Halo franchise where you're allowed to customize your weapons personally. So what do you think there's some validity to that, man?
Could be. We got a really small taste of that in Halo 5's Warzone, where it wasn't customization. Like, you choose like a different loadout for each gun at that point, because on the BR and the DR, I'm sorry, the battle rifle and the DMR, different
that's
scopes.
A great point, brother.
Yeah, there's different scopes and different muzzles for it as well. Like, there's like one leaning towards around the Promethean weapons, so like it does more damage to vehicles than people, I think. So they kind of started at Halo 5, so I wouldn't be surprised if they continue with that and more layers to that in Halo Infinite. So that would be a nice welcome. As far as the vehicle combat, the aquatic combat, because of the boat, the toy, that's a nice welcome as well. Because Halo really kept most of the combat centered around like ground vehicles and just ground engagements as well, and a little bit of air. We got, for the first time in Halo Reach, got space battles, which is, like, it was a Halo 2, but that was on the Cairo station on top of the station, but they really didn't count that much. So we got a little bit of that Halo Reach with the space combat as well. So aquatic combat will be a nice welcome as well. Good change of pace at this point. But as far as the toys, my biggest thing with the toys is like, it was a peek into what they're doing with the Arsa and Halo Infinite. So me and Don are against this more blocky Arsa they're going for it. So she's armor it looks like they're continuing that with the other Spartan armors as well.
It looks like Mega Blocks.
Yeah, the Mega Blocks design they're going with right now. Like, it is a mix of both, I guess, quote unquote modern and pre-Halo designs as well. But it's more of its foundation, more of its design, the philosophy behind it doesn't lay more of the quote unquote Bungie era of Halo design as well, which I'm not really a fan of. Looks like they're going the extra mile trying to mix them both together. We see that with the grunt that they showed off, because like it has the Halo 5 body. I think it's like the Halo 2 armor on it, I believe, as well. Like a new mask on his face. So like they're picking and choosing what they want to use from both games, which is fine as expected at this point. But like I am putting a little bit of ease at this, but I want to see more of it at this point. As far as like the armor, like more tolerable right now to me, but I'm still not on the fence on it. Like, everything they've shown so far looks pretty solid. Like the new weapons, I want to see more weapons. Hopefully they'll get rid of the variety they had in Halo 5, different variants of each weapons, especially in Warzone as well. Because I guess it was chaotic, but that was also a nice change of pace at that point. Because we no longer have static weapons throughout the entire lifespan of that Halo game. Different variants of weapons. They had different purposes at that point. So hopefully they continue that Halo Infinite right now with new weapons as well. So we just gotta wait and see at this point.
Yeah, no, I got you. Well, the funny thing is with the aquatic, with them, showing the boat for Mega Blocks and stuff like that. I want to throw it out there, and I think a lot of like Halo, Halo fans know they have been flirting, kind of like behind closed doors or whatnot. You see kind of like different sketches. They've been flirting with boats in Halo since Halo 2. They've been drawing the sketches, concepts, and stuff like that. It just never really got in.
They've had play tests since back in between Halo 2. Actually, Halo 3 is when they actually start doing play tests on it.
Yeah, the sad thing is like with Bungie and between Microsoft, the relationship has been so hectic. Like between Halo CE to like Reach, I believe, Reach or ODST. At that point, like as far as like getting like serious innovations and iterations to the genre, much more of a strain on them because it was like really focus on what was important at that point, so they couldn't really branch out far of their formula. But luckily, right now, Infinite, like they're taking it even further, which is good.
Yeah, dude, I definitely like that. You definitely what you see from 343. They got a lot of feedback from a community that's always divided, but you see them, really trying to push forward and innovate the franchise, and you got to respect them for that. Like, if it does go more open world, you can customize kind of like your suit. I know Don has an issue with the new suit when it comes down to it.
It's too blocky.
I do, man. It looks like a step back.
It definitely, I agree with you, man, when it comes down to it. So imagine if you can customize your suit as you go. In so the campaign.
You're still trying to sell me on Halo Infinite. Is what
I'm still trying, brother. We had so many hours in that game together, bro.
Listen here, Bob. Now it's my turn.
Okay, take the mic, bro.
Here's the deal. I want to have faith in it. I really do want to have faith in it. I love Halo 4. I love Halo 5. I love 343's versions of Halo better than any of the Bungie Halos. And I like the Bungie Halos too. But I don't like going backwards. I really don't. And so, like, some of the stuff that you're seeing here with the nerf stuff, it's not backwards, it's not forwards, it's just
Stagnation, really.
yeah, exactly. It's more of the same, but what it does reflect is how serious they are about the marketing of Halo, right? They're not going to be quiet about the franchise, right? When Halo hits out, you're going to be flooded with Halo stuff. The Nerf stuff is just the tip of the iceberg.
I want all the Nerf stuff, man. I'm telling you right now, I want all of it. Yeah.
I say start saving your coin. You got a console to buy this year. Who knows what else you'll end up getting, and other launch titles, and like
Game Pass, man.
Halo's coming out, so there's gonna be other merchandise. They're gonna.
Well, check this out, yo. Shout out.
They're gonna put Todd McFarlane to work too, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, check this out, yo. Shout out to Your Wicked Hawk, who is a first-time watcher of the show. So, if we get more first-time watchers and stuff like that, I can spend some of that sweet YouTube money on Nerf guns and a system, maybe. I don't know. I have to grow incredibly from now until then, though. You think it could happen?
We'll get you some. Me and K-Mega will get you some exclusive footage from E3. So you can have on your channel. So
not seen anywhere else. Dun dun dun. But
except for everywhere else.
no, Don. No, only here. But Don, what do you think about the the idea that Halo Follower put out there? Now, I started off as a really big Halo Follower fan, but he went so hard on like taking out Spartan abilities and stuff like that when Halo 5 dropped that I knew that me and him were not on the same page.
I know his philosophy, and I 100% disagree with everything.
100%, man. But
who are we talking about?
He has a very strong following. He has a Halo-centric channel. It's called Halo Watcher. But
okay.
yeah, I would say like the whole bow thing, that doesn't surprise me.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, because there's been hints of it before, so for it to kind of pop up,
dude, especially with the when they were showing the game engine demonstration and they showed the submarine underwater.
Well, what makes
there's a Warhawk underwater?
What makes you think there's not a submarine?
Oh shoot. Dude, stop. You're going to have me like thinking about this all night. But
underwater battle just like you had like in Reach when you went into space.
Oh, there we go. I am so down, man. What do you think about the gun customization idea, bro?
I'm not opposed to it. I think, it was mentioned before that, they've done it in Halo 5. I don't think they're banning ideas. I think, if anything, if you ask me what gives me a ray of hope is them doing that sort of stuff, because that's them expanding what they were already doing, and that's what I really wanted them to do, is take what you did with Halo 5 and go from there, right? Not make Halo 5 again.
From there.
Progress from there is what I personally wanted. So the idea of guns and stuff along those lines, having additional customization there, that has an appeal to me. Now it's going to be difficult to get all that balance and stuff like that. I'm glad that's not my job to do.
Yeah,
at 343. I just draw stuff and make stuff look pretty, but like, but that is the challenge they're going to have to be faced with. But if anyone can do it, I think 343 can do it, and it gives me hope that the Spartan abilities are still there, and they're going to expand upon it. Maybe make them customizable Spartan abilities.
Oh, dude, I will let you know, because my son was a part of a game development program, right? He was at 343, and I'm not going to put out any names or anything like that, but he was talking to the developers, and regardless of what that part of the Halo community says, 343 put it out there to him that the Spartan abilities were hugely accepted by the community, and majority of the community absolutely loved it. So they don't see why they would take it out of the game.
Yeah, but I think what gets even myself that probably knows better, gives me fear is going back to the older style. But there could be a story behind it. I'm trying to be open-minded, and you know what? And I'm trying to get that Spartan rank up just in case something
just in
special.
case, man. Yeah,
Just in
dude,
case.
I don't think we're hitting 152, bro.
I'm gonna catch up to you probably next week.
Are you sure about that? Is it still moving for you? Cause oh, okay.
I'm 1 point away.
Oh.
I've done the math. Actually, believe it or not, it moves a lesser amount, but the amount of time that you put into per match, it's actually normal ranked matches and normal play matches moves the bar faster than Warzone. Doesn't seem like it, but I did the math. It actually moves it faster because you're able to finish more matches and apply more XP per match. So.
It's
slow.
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
It's slow. Don't get me wrong. It's really slow, but
dude, this is somebody that plays Destiny 2 now, and I'm saying that's a grind, yo. So like, yeah.
Yeah, well, don't worry about it. I mean, we'll see where it ends up happening. We're doing Halo every week now, so we're not toying around anymore.
Oh shoot, yo! Speaking of not toying around, I like that pun, by the way. With what we're talking about, let's go to Pred on this. With the Halo Nerf guns, the Halo Mega Blocks unveiling. Of course, there's the boat. So far, I think we've been pretty unanimous on the boat that it just kind of makes sense, especially since they were kind of like tinkering with concepts of a UNSC boat ever since Halo 2. So, Pred, what do you think about the concept with the boat? And then what do you think about, like I said, Halo followers' idea that somehow, some way, these Nerf guns show that there may be weapon customization? Do you see this?
With the whole boat thing, that's kind of natural progression. They've been on land, air. Now it makes sense to go to sea, and they'll probably use the sea at these water or some shit like that effects that they have. So I could see that happen. That's an easy no-brainer right there. But as far as the weapons for the Nerf stuff, I mean that just screams weapon customizations. I think that's what they're going for. Get that extra money from people buying skins and stuff like that for weapons in Halo.
Dude, if you get the Halo, the new Nerf BR, then there's a code for the skin for your BR in Halo Infinite when it comes out. So
I think they're gonna go that route. I mean, you look at a lot of the other games that do this stuff, like Call of Duty does it. I think PUBG does it, if I'm not mistaken. Ghost Recon does it. Like all these shooters, like you can buy different skins, unlock them or whatever, to make your gun look, customizable. So like it makes it yours. Like you can do what you want with it. So, add little trinkets on there, and like if they can sell that shit for like $3-5, I mean that's just extra income for them. So with Halo being as big of a game as it's gonna be, that's just extra money for them. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think Gears does it, if I'm not mistaken, too. And Crispy can kind of chime in on that when he gets his turn. But like,
he'll bring it to Gears somehow, man.
Yeah, I know. I typically don't buy these things when they come out. They're usually things you can unlock, over time. But if they're like, they have those little packs you can buy, like in fucking Destiny, you can buy those packs and. It comes out every other week or something like that. It has this skin that you can't get anywhere else, and you can buy it for $5, and kids are gonna be all over that shit. So it's just a way for them to get more income for the game. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. It's like the rec packs. Like I'm not opposed to it if it helps out with the people being able to kind of make their character what they want it to be. As long as it's within reason, if it's something you can still unlock and not have to purchase, I'm cool with it. But if there's something out there like you gotta redeem this code by buying 80 pizzas and shit like that to get it, I can see them going this route because I think it's a moneymaker for them, and everybody else seems to be doing it too. So why not? I mean,
it's advertisement that makes them money, right? Like
yeah.
that's like the difference. Like most time advertisement costs you money. This is a type of advertisement that makes you money.
Yeah,
it makes their partners money too as well. Helps them both out.
Yeah, they dropped Boomco for Nerf for this one, man. I really liked the Halo 5 Boomco kind of like weapon set and everything, but new Halo, new contract, and they went with Nerf on this one. So I don't know, Chris. Go ahead.
Nerf's still a bigger name though. mean,
I
there's no
know,
way
but
around it.
well, and you know me, man. I always root for the smaller guy. You know, the less known person. I go through YouTube looking for kind of like new kind of like gaming channels and stuff like that. I like the people coming up more than the people that are already like way up there. You know what I'm saying?
Way up there are full of themselves or all that stuff.
Yeah. I've seen so many people change when they got like so many kind of like 1,000 subscribers and everything like that. And I love the pureness of people that are doing stuff like this just for the passion of it. You know what I'm saying? But that's another topic. I'm not taking a left turn here. I am going to Crispy next. Crispy, what do you think about these toy unveilings? Do the weapons? Do you see weapon customization here? Like Halo follower said, it mainly focuses around the handgun because it looks like a Spanker rocket launcher put together with the traditional Halo handgun. And what do you think about the boat? I think everybody says it's a natural progression to have kind of like a sea-based combat kind of like fight going on somewhere in Halo Infinite. But what do you think, man? Do you think it's time for something like that as well?
I think that's the way they're going because, I mean, you spend $500 million on a new engine that you got to be doing some different stuff. I mean, you're not going to spend that type of money for nothing. I mean, and it comes down to, having Nerf involved. I mean, clearly whatever vision they've shown Nerf, they're going to be coming out with more weapons. And has anybody touched any of these Nerf guns? I mean, could they be customizable themselves? Could you be able?
See, that's what I thought. I thought Bloody might have known something a little bit more. He might have looked into it a little bit more, and I thought he was hinting at that they might be customizable, like right out the box. But
I mean, because that gives them.
It's possible that they could be customizable, but it's one of those things that it's still in talks. While they're showing it off right now at the New York City toy show.
Yes. Because
that's where they're showing off a lot of different toys. That's where Nerf always shows off their new collaborations and things like that. But it's also where they show off a lot of like statuettes, where Funko also shows off new pops and stuff like that. They haven't shown off too much about it, so they're probably waiting to give more or let people find out about it.
Well, I mean,
that's just putting them on display.
And that's the way to grab. That's the way to grab dollars, like for a toy company, like games as a service or buying skins or something like that. You know what I mean? Like for a toy company, like they could say, okay, if we can make these certain parts interchangeable, we could sell more, units. And that's where you go and say, well, these toys are licensed through Halo, so they have to have a pretty much accurate. The way they are,
an accurate depiction of what's coming in the game. I definitely, and that's where I will agree that I know my brother Jamie Moran on Twitter was like, oh, here we go, like people making assumptions because of toys coming out for Halo or whatnot, but there is some viability there because they have to keep it a certain way. They have to keep it resemblant to what's in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what it's being modeled after. I mean, there's a lot of companies that do that, and they have to keep it reminiscent or at least similar to the model that it's being based off. Even if it's being something customizable, it's something that has to be accurate to what it's being based off. Look at PDP, right? PDP is a known replica manufacturer, and they make a lot of. You can say that they're toys-esque, but the thing is that they're a replica company, right? They do a lot of things for gaming. And one of the biggest things that they did recently was the fact that they made the replica Lancer for Gears of War 5. And they made specifically a Crimson one that also created a Crimson skin for Gears of War 5. But it's all modeled after the Lancer, right? And it's a 1-to-1 replica. So when companies do those replicas or anything, they have to be at least similar. If it's not a full-on replica, then what it's being based off, if it's a collaboration, has to be similar to the model that it's being based off. But
all that stuff has to be approved by the original people.
Exactly. So the fact that they're working in collaboration, with 343 and Microsoft on this, that a lot of these designs they're being given a model, say, hey, look, this is the model, or this is what it looks like, and then they're editing it to work in the fact of that it's a toy, because Nurse is going to be different than PDP, because PDP can make a full one-to-one replica.
They have to make it absolutely directly like whatever they're replicating. That, I mean, that's
exactly
the definition of replication. Yeah,
exactly. But Nerf is making a toy that's a collaboration and similar, so they could be more flexible. But the fact is that what you're seeing is more in line of what you're going to see, but more once you're actually in Halo, it's going to be like, oh yeah, I can recognize that easily. But the thing is, like, it's, hey, this is what it looks like, but obviously you're going to be able to tell it's a toy and not the real thing, but it's going to give you an idea of how it's going to be for.
Dude, I'm already excited about the BR. They reached back and grabbed a style of BR from back in the day that I actually really like, and I'm excited about that. Yo, huge shout out to our brother Stick Figure, who says all this stuff is pointing towards a Halo Battle Royale free standalone game. Anybody want to comment on that? What do you guys think?
Please not talk about that. Let's just,
hang on. Is it gonna work? Let's make it different, right? Let's make this unique. So the way that it works is that you're an ODS who's hot dropping and having to fight against other Covenant while there's a non-stop flood just like swamping the area, and they have to try and escape and get to a Pelican to.
Listen here, if it has Battle Royale, it's not even worth talking about, right? like that's the thing. It's always been a side mode. We've always noticed that, and like, you know, shout out to the people who've been successful with it, but let's just be honest, with like a big game like Halo, it's always a side thing. Like, man.
Oh yeah, it's not. We already know that it's not.
Dude, it's a toss up in the chat. Like,
but then that customization,
people saying hell no. Like,
then that customization would actually come into fruition.
Why are we going on this road? Why are we?
I'm just saying that. Then that customization would actually be logical.
This happens all the time.
All right.
He's not wrong.
Let me break it down really simple for you. Like, those guns, as cool as they look and all that sort of stuff, I bet you that little pistol that everyone's speculating it is just a human version of a needler. That's all it is.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
I bet you that's all it is. It's little mini rockets that have the same kind of sinking quality like you get from a needler.
Halo followers said it might be the next evolution. You remember the sticky bomb gun? From Halo, I think Halo 4, where it had that one sticky bomb, like you shot it and it stuck and anything got into the proximity.
He overthinks everything, man. Like, here's the harsh reality. Like, they've always introduced a gun, but like Promethean guns mimic human guns. Human guns mimic like the Covenant guns. So they all have a similarity to them in regards to that. There is nothing else out there that mimics the Needler, and this may be the human version of it. That's my honest speculation on the whole thing.
That's a great, like, common sense kind of like assumption when it comes down to it, or maybe a prediction. I don't know how far you want to lean there, man.
No. I feel comfortable because no one told me any of this stuff. So, like, here's the thing. Like, I played all the Halos. That's what my prediction is. And if I'm wrong, tell me. If I'm not, I'm gonna forget about it. So let's just keep on going.
Yeah, let's move on. We've spent 30 minutes talking about a fucking Nerf gun.
I know, but it's been a fun conversation. The chat was getting involved. Let's go.
Listen, we have new consoles coming out this year. What are we talking about Nerf for?
Well,
let's just seriously.
I mean, Nerf guns are cool.
They are cool. I remember playing with Nerf guns.
They were cool when I was like fucking
and Super Soakers. Like, come on, man. Like, a little nostalgia.
But the thing about it is that Nerf guns are the ones that have actually been able to maintain their semblance, especially with the fact that they're no longer just like really badly made sticky bullets. No, like they've actually made these like foam darts like much better. They fly better, so people are able to have like these actual like fun little Nerf wars compared to back in the day when it's just like, hang on, I gotta lick my darts so that way they stick to everything. Hang on.
When they come out, if Crispy gets them, I'll get them, and then me and Crispy will have a Nerf war Halo style in Connecticut.
Yes.
Let's do it, bro.
You know, Crispy's gonna start slamming his butt into cover too, though. So it's like it's scared. Making revving noises like it's a chainsaw or something.
Hell yeah. That would be the only way to go for Crispy, man. But let's switch up the topic, because this is something that I've noticed here. Being somebody who plays Destiny 2, being somebody who likes to get into Forza Horizon 4, seeing the popularity of Fortnite, seeing even PUBG, they have cross-play kind of like party chat now, where you can party up with somebody that's on the PS4 or PC and go in. The game as a service seems to be taking over the video game industry right now, and I don't know how I feel about this. Like, on one hand, I have so much fun, playing Destiny 2. The new season comes out. Of course, it's something that I already paid for with the season pass, but getting on new grinds and stuff. But to me, it's a double-edged sword, because with season passes, they're timed content, and I know a lot of people out there, when they talk about a game as a service, it's like, well, they're constantly adding content, and I feel like the hitch to that is they're doing a lot of season passes and stuff, making it timed, where you only have a certain amount of time to get in there and enjoy those, instead of just giving more content to the game. I gotta be honest, I'm a little concerned, because it seems like every studio or every publisher wants that one game that everybody plays religiously now. And they want that game as a service. They want to keep you on that hook. They want to keep you buying season passes. And that's not what I want for the majority of games, in my opinion. All right. So I'm going to start with Predator on this question. Dude, games as a service, do you see what I see? Do you see, like, it seems like publishers, they want to have that one game that is played by millions of people all the time, that you got to play it, so many times per week, timed content. Is this a concern for you at all, or am I just looking at it like the sky is falling, man? What's good?
No, I mean, I see your concern. Like, you think of games like Rainbow Six, that's been out for 2 years, and they're just consistently adding content to it. Like, that's ultimately that's the best for them, not for necessarily for us. That's good for the developers and stuff like that, because they're basically reusing the same assets and just putting a new map in there, or adding a new character or something like that. So it makes it easier for them. But the thing is, those games last forever now. It's like typically we get our Call of Duties every other year, every year basically, but they're made by different teams. But at some point in time, you want something new and fresh, and when are we going to see another Rainbow Six? When is the next Rainbow Six ever going to come out? Look at Minecraft. How long has that game been out? And they're just adding content to it. It's will there ever be a Minecraft too?
I think there's a difference between adding content, but then I see whether it's the publishers doing it or the developers kind of idea, the whole kind of season pass thing, timed content. I feel like that's a loophole.
It is to get extra money.
Exactly.
Perfect example. The Division 2, right? I bought in because I love the Division 1. I bought in for the whole, I think it was $100 and something for the whole season 1, everything that came with it, all the DLC that comes with it, et cetera, right? Mm-hmm. But now I got to pay another $30 for season 2. That's basically you're selling me another game. I gave you the money up front for all this content, and we talked about this, about the Hitman thing, where they were doing the whole,
the episode,
we're going to release this game in segments. Yeah, the episodic story type of thing they were going to do, whatever. And I remember saying this, what happens when they decide they don't want to do anything anymore? When they stop. What if they they get the money from us and they say, okay, we're not going to do this because the game sucked and didn't sell very well, but yet we paid into it early. Another perfect example, Ghost Recon. You buy into it early, the game sucked, nobody's really playing it who are hardcore Ghost Recon fans. They're not really playing anymore. So to lure you back in, they release new content, and you think it's going to change the game and make it better, but it really doesn't. But you don't know that, because you got to spend $30 to figure that shit out. So with the Division 2, Like all that season 1 shit ended like literally right before the season 2 stuff comes out. Like all the shit you should have gotten for free before, you won't get that because you got to buy the $30 worth of season 2 shit. You got to spend money on that. Like the shit that should have came in the first place.
Which is why they're selling the original game for like $3.
With $3, and we talked about this last week. It's like it's a genius idea. Sell it for $3, you feel like you're getting a deal. But if you want the extra content because you love playing it because you spent $3 on it, it was cheap as fuck. If you love the content, if you want season 2, you got to spend an extra $30 on it because right now they're not making money on season 1 anymore. No one's gonna buy it. I mean, it's been out forever. So like, it was a genius on their part. But like for us gamers, like at some point, you know, when are we gonna see the next iteration of the game? Like when are you gonna stop making content for this game and give us a brand new game with a new engine, new skin, et cetera, et cetera? Now I get that like spending that $30 helps them, you know, pay everybody and, you know, give us extra content, but like you get tired of a game after a while. You get tired of playing the same maps. You get tired of the same shit. And at some point you want them to cut it off and start something new and start working on a new game. You don't know when that is.
Real quick, with the whole getting tired thing, there have been points in time when it comes to Destiny 2. Like I was tired of the game, but there was armor pieces that they were coming out with that to me just looked awesome, and I felt myself like forcing myself to play the content where I can get
just
those
because it was
pieces.
new shit, yeah.
Because I wanted those pieces. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what the thing is, like those pieces, did it drastically change the game for you? Or is it just like, oh, my character looks cool now?
My character looks cooler.
Yeah, and you spent all that time and money, well, I say money, but all that time playing that game. And then we wonder why like people like Microsoft, they go into they start using users as a metric instead of console sales. Active users, right? Because now you're actively playing Destiny, even though you probably are done with the game, you're still playing another 3 hours of this shit because you're trying to get a cool skin. Like that's why they go to active users now. People knock people for that. They knock Microsoft for that, but Sony's doing it too. And I'm kind of changing topics now, but like that's what keeps you engaged in the game because there's little simple things that you as a hardcore gamer of that specific game want, you know, and that keeps you entertained and active in that game. And that's what keeps people coming back. Like little simple shit like that. And that was free. Like they just did some DLC. Although you can get this skin if you go and do 50 missions and kill this person, you get a new skin for your gun, but you're actively playing the game. Whereas like with some of the other stuff you're saying, like it's a loophole. You're spending $30 for something that other games are offering for free. Now I think like I'll use Division 2. It's a huge update, but like even Destiny, Destiny.
Ooh,
2,
say that word again, Pred.
I stumbled when I said it. I haven't said it in so long, but like
I didn't want to say it.
I really didn't.
Yeah,
but like,
don't worry about it.
But every year or so they give you new content. But how much was this last update for you guys that play that game religiously?
Well, the new kind of like when the whole moon thing came out, when Shadowkeep came out, that was $30, and if you wanted the season pass, that was $30 as well. But if you wanted to pick individual seasons, like they were $10 a piece.
So Destiny 2 came out when?
3 years ago?
3 years? Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been that long.
Yeah.
It's been
Wow.
around.
I think it's
And they've milked you motherfuckers for this.
Actually, it's not, and not
Xbox,
just
how much have you
they've been
spent?
they've been milking
ask me
dudes
that
for
question.
almost eight years, almost 9.
Yeah,
since that
because
came
like
out, since
Destiny
the
1,
first
yeah.
game came out on the original 360 and PS3, and then was later brought over to the Xbox One and PS3 or PS4.
So why would they not
story.
do this then? That makes sense to them. They make money off of just basically just putting a new fucking story in there, and you guys are gonna spend 30.
Oh, hold on. You're coming back.
I mean,
It's all
games
good.
as
All right, there they are.
But to be honestly fair, though, games as a service has existed for years. If you
I know.
really wanna think about it.
I Dizzy in the chat was talking about MMOs, but my whole thing with that though, at that point in time, it was one genre. You know what I'm saying? It was one genre. Now it's spreading throughout the entire industry.
It's
You
like
see
a
what I'm saying?
plague.
You're not wrong that it's spreading, but the fact is MMOs were still the original games as a service
Yeah.
because the fact that that's kind of what they did. But as games started growing, they're like, hey, what if we put out a well decently built product? But some of them were decently built, others were just like, hey, let's just put something out, and then just add more to it over time and say that, hey, this is free content, and see how long we keep people invested into it. And some of it worked, some of it didn't. Some of it started with games like League of Legends, right? A lot of those MOBAs were the next genre to really push it. So you had League of Legends, you had
World
Smite.
of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft originally was, and them with like that, Guild Wars and all that, all the big MMOs. That was what kind of started up. But the second genre that really started picking up with games as a service were MOBAs. That's when you look at things like I was saying with League of Legends was probably one of the big ones. Then you had the up
if
Smite,
not one of the biggest.
yeah,
ones.
and then you also had StarCraft and a few others and everything that they started doing with those games. And then after and RTSs were just as bad. And then after that, that's when we started getting in more to the modern age. You had the 360, you had the PS3 and things like that. And then you started getting games which is like, well, the 360 and PS3 generation was when they started introducing DLC content and downloadable stuff like that. Little things at first, cosmetic stuff, and then some of them were just like, hey, what if we added full-on new built pieces and big story expansions and stuff like that? That's when we saw things with like Gears of War. We saw it with
Gears is one of the first. A lot of people don't realize.
Hold on, real
that.
quick, guys, just real quick. I want to address Others Inc. Others Inc. First off, I want to say I definitely respect your opinion. I love seeing you in the chat with all this. What's wrong with it? He says, who wants their games to be done after a week, like Sony exclusives? Now, one and dones, I hear you on, but when we were talking about getting content and stuff like that, I think my main thing is with games as a service, a lot of the content is only timed. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, you only have a certain amount of time to get into that new content, and then the next thing kicks up. And I feel like it's like a manufacturer's line, kind of like you have to keep up with all of it, and if every publisher wants a game like that, I cannot invest in every single all the new games as I need to be there for 3-4 years and stuff, and I'm afraid that's going to take away from the other games. I'll give you an example. I am really, really excited for Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal, the new Doom, the gameplay is absolutely fantastic, incredibly smooth. I love what they do with the weapons.
Yo, Bob, real quick, have you seen Markiplier's little mini playthrough of Doom Eternal?
No,
I'm gonna link that to your DM. You gotta see that, bro.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's good,
dude. I know it's gonna be fire. And you know what else is gonna be fire about it, dude? There are unlockables, vinyls, and skins, stuff like that in the game, and it's not a game as a service.
Yeah.
So
also me and Op have a lot of hands-on with that game too. So I was like, we've gotten to kind of see that up front.
So it's I'm somebody who hasn't touched the game. And you hear how hyped I am for it. I think I'm pretty much on point for the quality of this game that's coming out in March.
They're going to deliver.
Yeah,
definitely deliver, man.
But one of the biggest things about it, and hold on, shout out to Stick Figure hitting up that super chat. Thank you, brother, for the support. He says support the podcast, like, share, and send a super chat. Yo, Stick Figure, thank you, bro. Really, really do appreciate it. Yeah, definitely share out the show. I know Saturday nights have become a little cramped, a little crowded when it comes down to it. But everybody in the chat right now, you're checking out the best looking gaming podcast in this community. Can I get a thumbs up for it, people? But on that note, go ahead, guys. Like I said,
what I was trying to get back to is the fact of that games as a service just kind of evolved from MMOs starting it with the way that they did their big expansion content. Then MOBAs realizing, hey, they were competitive games. You had Dota, league and all that. And it's just like, how do we kind of grow this? And then they started making their own seasonal content, and then they made everything on the competitive scene,
And
made
then
stuff
it's a
collectible.
copycat league.
Exactly.
Copycat league.
It's copycat, and then you had the DLC with the rise. The last generation be like, hey, we put out a full game. Well, how do we get more money from it? Then you had DLC content starting with like Gears, and then you also saw it with Bethesda with Fallout. Then you also saw it in games like Red Dead Redemption with Red Dead Redemption 1 and so on and so forth. And they're just like, hey, GTA also did it as well with GTA 4. So they're just like, hey, how do we continue to make more money without always having to put in a lot more,
without
and that's kind of
increasing the
that
price
rose
of the game
yeah,
either.
exactly. Without increasing the price, but it was like, hey, this is how we can keep this game going for a while, or while we're working on a new project or an interim project and things like that. So that's kind of how that kind of rose up to. But when you look at games as a service too, it's the fact of now it's just like, hey, as Microsoft and Phil Spencer said, as others, Ubisoft has definitely become the kings and focal points of games as a service. They've stated that now it's about sales, but it's also how do you keep that community for so long? How do you continue to keep them wanting to stay in the game?
You say active users?
Yeah, active users and user retention. Exactly. That's where it is. It's how long can you keep so many people around that want to continue to support that? A lot of games have brought that up. Like I said, Ubisoft has been one of the biggest kings of games as a service. Whether the games always start out great or not, they know how to really do games as a service well. They're the ones who've done it for the most part. Now, some of the games don't always get the full support or aren't able to really sustain themselves. Look at what happened with Wildlands with the first Ghost Recon. But the fact is, other games that they've had have been very successful. Rainbow Six Siege, when it launched, was very, very polarizing for a lot of people. But guess what? They continued to support it. They put money into it. They unleashed a lot of new operators and new modes and things over the years. And now Rainbow Six Siege is one of the biggest games in the esports scene, with being one of the biggest competitive shooters out there. You see For Honor. For Honor had a lot of mixed feelings with people really liking the story. And
For
really
Honor got trashed when it first got released.
It did. The combat was very hard to get a hold of for a lot of people, because it was very much a very tactical fighting game with a kind of rock, paper, scissors aspect. But they also had a lot of real bad balancing with the way that gear worked early on. But you look at it now, they've revamped that gear system so many times and have it in a much better place. They've added new factions, new fighters. They continue to add new maps and new modes, and that game is still probably a very interesting competitive fighter, because it's not your traditional outside of what you would expect at Evo. You look at a game like even Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs had a lot of updates and multiplayer things, and then you also see the kind of rise and games as a service aspect of Assassin's Creed. But Assassin's Creed also been one of those games that were very DLC based as the games went on progress and adding a lot of content. So you kind of see how they were able to make some of those games built around that aspect. Games as a service, when done right, can be very sustainable for a good community. But there are games that can't do it right.
All right, brother, here's my thing on this. We're looking at gameplay right now of Forza Horizon 4, and I don't think people realize how much content is really in this. And then, they have different seasons with different things to unlock, different cars, and they keep adding stuff, right? Which is awesome. I feel almost like overwhelmed, because when it comes down to it, I'm also a Destiny 2 player. And like I feel like I have to play these games to a certain extent to unlock certain things and kind of like keep it going. I feel almost obligated at this point, and I don't
have to put so much time into it to get.
I think Don called it the honey-do list, where like you have to go in and there's certain things you have to complete every week, and
And especially as an ex-Destiny player, I totally get where you're coming from.
Just let me finish real quick, because oh man, you just had me lose my train of thought. Go ahead, brother. My bad.
Well, to go on with what you're saying right there with what Don brought up is that yes, there is that aspect of, hey, I haven't played in so long and I feel like I'm going to fall behind, or hey, I've just logged in. There's all these new weekly things and things that I feel I have to do because of the fact that it's only available for a limited amount of time. It goes into that aspect of, hey, this is something that needs to be done. This is what I have to do. And I understand that. And it is one of those.
I remember what I was saying. Like, I don't want every publisher, every developer, and I know these games make a crazy amount of money, putting out this new content, keeping people engaged, all that good stuff. But I don't want every single publisher to want that golden goose per se, and all their new games that are coming out, all of a sudden everything is a game as a service, and I'm like, dude, I have a life. I like to go outside. I live right next to the beach. It's gonna get warm. Like, give me some room to breathe, man.
So Xbox just
wanted to have that finite aspect of just be like, hey, look, I can do everything this, and at that point, I'm done and not have to worry about it. And that's perfectly fair. Like, you should be able to want that, and I think that not every game does need to be games as a service. There's definitely some that people would want. We can't say no, but the fact is not every game needs to be like that. And I think that's a fair aspect, is that knowing which game should be a games as a service is fine, but others don't need to be. Like you brought up Doom. Doom is the perfect game that says, hey, you know what? This is simply just a good ending. It's a straightforward beginning, end kind of shooter that I can just load up, have stupid fun with. I was like, I can get through the story.
And the replayability would be unlocking all the skins that are in the ship.
I got a problem.
People support that game as well.
I got a problem with everything you're saying. Here's the problem, okay? You are talking about, like, the only games that I see that don't have games as a service, whether it be skins or weapon cosmetics or anything, like even, adding, customization to your weapons and making you overpowered and everything else is single player games. And I don't see anybody else going the route of a single player game when they have a multiplayer aspect to it. And the prime example, and yes, I finally went to Gears after an hour in.
There he goes.
It's that Gears 5 ruined it for me. Like, it really did. Like, they want me to buy everything.
Link up on Gears.
They want me to buy everything, and I don't need that because I played Gears 3. I bought the season pass. Let's go back to that. I'll pay $120 to have everything that you put out. Let's do that. I'm fine with that. I'll pay the $120 because at the end of the day, if I buy everything that I want, I'm going to pay twice that. That's what I feel like. And we're at the point where it's like, okay, enough's enough. Like, some games have a good balance. I feel like Destiny, because nobody really complains about it lately, has a good balance. Even Division 2.
Well, they all quit. That's the thing. So
no, there's an active base there, brother. Don't.
Well, Division 2 has
the rest of everyone.
Listen,
the active base, 10 people doesn't count when everyone else is gone.
But no, go ahead, Don.
No. Go ahead and finish there, Crispy.
No.
If you're talking about Destiny and active user base, they're not as high as you guys think it is. But the harsh reality is I'm with everyone else in the sense of I want a beginning, middle, and I should say at least Xbox. Sometimes there's a little too much fat to chew on, and the thing that really threw me off, and in all honesty, Destiny is the one that kind of turned me off by this. It was actually Destiny 1. It was like the constant. They released the DLC, and they made all these changes, and it constantly fractured the user base, which caused a bunch of complaints. Some people liked it, some people didn't. And that happens anyways in sequels, but it happened more with Destiny because it was smaller chunks they divided it up in. Mm-hmm. And then what it ended up happening, it was what pissed me off one day was I had to go on this one mission, kill these certain enemies in a certain time frame, and if I wasn't following something on Twitter or if I was at work that day, I didn't have that opportunity to unlock that thing, right? And it wasn't going to come back up. And once they kind of start doing that stuff, I'm like, I'm out.
That's a super timed exclusive. Like
yeah. And they do that. So the other thing is, I think a lot of people are trying to relate these to other games and other reasons why they do this stuff, and I hate to tell you guys, you're all a little bit off. The real reason why they do it is to lower risk on developing a game, right? So there's a lot of money to be made in games, but there's also a lot of money to be lost in games, right? You spend a lot of money in development of a game, and the viable time frame is usually like 6 months, right, for a really good game. And after that 6 months, that relevancy is gone, and so everything ends up being this, like, just unrelevant at a certain point. So what games as a service does is, yes, you're spreading things out, but what you're doing is you're lowering the risk, right? You're keeping people engaged for a longer period of time. The people that want to spend money can spend money. It did work really well for loot boxes. We'll see what formats they come with down the road now that that's kind of been kiboshed in a lot of countries. And the reality is they're trying to lower the risk of developing these games, and you want developers to lower the risk of developing these games, and you want them to be able to be profitable making these games, because if they're not profitable, then why are they fronting the money to make a video game when they could be fronting flipping houses or doing something else, as a big conglomerate could do. So I mean, that's what's really going on there. But I'm right there with you guys. I'd rather have a beginning, middle, end. I don't want games to continue to go on forever. Matter of fact, when they have features like that in Forza Horizon 4, all that dailies and honey-do list junk, I don't touch it ever.
Yeah, dude, like I was telling you about it, and you're like, yeah, whatever. Right?
I won't even acknowledge it's part of the game, right? It is, but it really, I really want to acknowledge it. It's really part of the game because I've done everything. Like I got all these achievements. Everything's knocked off on the map. The only thing I got to do left is, what is it? Those car boost things where you unlock.
Yeah,
like,
well, you're talking about the
perks.
hub for that, and like,
Yeah, that's
Don,
it.
What I'm saying here, I think, because I think there's a point I didn't put out there, like with me bringing up Forza Horizon, right? It wasn't necessarily a game as a service before, and when it comes down to it, people, publishers, even developers, like I have a tendency to point towards the publishers as the more kind of like the bad side of it, but that I could be wrong with that, right? I don't want like franchises that I love kind of like switching their track and going more games as a service, because then I'm gonna feel
you're screwed.
I'm screwed then, huh?
Yeah, you are.
No, but in all seriousness, I think they're going to screw themselves over eventually, right? Like, you got to balance it. You're asking a lot from a gamer when you ask. It's one thing to ask for money, but you're also asking for money and time now, and that becomes a little trickier. A little bit more is on
the money should give you what you want. You shouldn't have to, invest time into getting those things on top of the money.
Well, the thing is, Crispy, you're speaking from your perspective. Other people would rather just spend the money.
Oh yeah.
Some people want both, right? So it becomes tricky, right? Because
what's good, Hazard Man? What's up, brother?
Crispy's opinion is valid in the sense of what he wants out of a game. But there's other people that are not like Crispy that want something different, and neither one of them is wrong. And that's where it becomes tricky, that splinter community of what they want out of a product. So I think there's a balancing act between that. I think, I would say games as a service, I think it's great to address it for six months and then be done with it. And really have a hard cutoff at that point, because at that point you've taken care of all that risk assessment that you're talking about, right? You're able to keep the game a little more relevant a little bit longer, right? And you get that next way. Maybe 7 or 8 months is maybe the sweet spot, but I would say years a little too long personally if I was going to look at it. And to be honest with you, this stuff is so complicated. I'm not going to even bother with my game. I'm just going to make a game.
I wonder if people feel like they got their money's worth out of Anthem.
Yeah.
Dude, but I feel like I got my money's worth out of Ori and the Blind Forest, and I'm excited for Ori 2 as well.
It was $30 though.
Okay.
But Bot doesn't think about $30 when you spent the money when you like it. You think you only think about the money
when you don't
dislike
like
a
it.
product.
Yes!
You don't like a product. You're just like, how much money did I spend on that thing?
That's bullshit.
I mean, that's kind of how I
$60 on this
felt
shit.
about when I purchased Death Stranding.
Oh, let's not get into that. Let's not start.
That's fine. I mean,
It's a fair comparison. I'm just
I
saying.
mean, you win and lose, right? When you buy a game, there's a risk that's involved there. But yeah, I just think this is just developers and publishers trying to lower the risk in keeping their games relevant for longer. And everything has intrinsic value. Even people that just game keep the online community alive. Sort of the people that want to spend the money, they have value. Everyone has value in all this. I think there's a balancing act, and when everyone like Ubisoft does it, right? Like you take the last Assassin's Creed, look how long that damn game was, and when they introduced DLC, I'm like, nope, don't care. That's not part of the game. That's not part of the game, right? Because I want because I enjoyed the game and I was done, right? And so for other people, they're like, no, I couldn't get enough of that, and they want to continue to expand upon that story. So I get where this is going. There's a balancing act that needs to be done. There's a lot of consumers that are out there that are different than the consumers that were out there 3 or 4 years ago. And you just you have to acknowledge when you talk from your perspective, you have to acknowledge there's other gamers that may like the thing you dislike. And so it's just a difficult thing to do, but the market will get flooded if too many people make their games too long. I will say that.
All right. So. Now, Operation. I don't really know. We've been going on this for a while, but I don't really know if you are able to chime in with your opinions here. Games as a service. I see publishers wanting that golden goose to the point where I'm a little concerned. That's where they're going to put more of their effort and possibly franchises that I get into when they come out with new iterations, like the possibility that they're going to transform those franchises into games as a service. Do you think I have a viable concern here, or am I just looking too deep into it, brother?
I might be looking too deep into it as well, because not every game can fit as games as a service, really.
And plus, try,
some will try, and trust me, they'll fail too as well. But in this situation, it's really a two-way situation. Like, it goes both ways. Like, yes, the developers are leaning towards that design philosophy for gaming. We also look at why at this point. Down hit on the head, it's lower risk factors, more profitability in that, well, possible profitability at that point. Because right now, in this generation, gamers really to the media and podcasts and like the casual fans all together, like it's really a cult AAA at this point. Within that cult are specific developers, publishers that get astronomical amount of hype built behind whatever game they publish. People really so like really there's like a couple of games people are zoning on, pretty much have support from no matter what, whether it's good or bad at that point. And at that point, it kind of leads to like disdain towards other games developers at that point. We see it all the time, like people. When Anthem came out, people really hyped up Division 2 just to shit on Anthem at that point because they didn't like the direction it was going at. Same thing with the Outer Worlds and Fallout 76. Like people hyped up the Outer Worlds. I enjoyed it. It wasn't because everybody said it was. So I enjoyed it just despite Fallout 76.
A lot of people hyped up the Outer Worlds, especially because they hated Fallout 76. I agree with you there, bro.
It was agenda at this point. So on top of that, there's a hate. It's like really a disdain hate with like the vocal minority or a majority as well. Games as service at this point, so I don't think really lean too heavily into it. For those who it works, I think they'll try to double down and just refine it even more going forward. I don't think it's taking over the industry. Like, if anything, the biggest concern are free-to-play games within the industry, specifically battle royale games, because like Fortnite, Apex Legends, they're one of the biggest avenues for battle royale at this point. Like the biggest fear is for everybody, developers and maybe gamers as well, is like those games sucking away more gamers. Other games just focus on them entirely at that point.
Well, doesn't it make it how much more important it is for like? Here's the thing: I'm not one of those people that subscribes to streaming will take over the industry or anything like that. But it's important to bring those additional gamers into the market, right? Because what we're doing is we're borrowing from the same group of gamers. We're making games longer, right? Mm-hmm. And we're not having the influx of more gamers into the industry. So streaming is super important, I think, for this sort of stuff. And also, if the game never ends, geez, man, you got to get in when you can, right? To get that honey-do list, right? I mean, I think that's important. I think people overlook.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Real quick. Yo, shout out to Stick Figure. Thank you for hanging out with us, brother. As usual, man, you are here every week, and I really, really do appreciate it. Yo, Stick, we should get you on as a guest sometime. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm throwing it out there, man. You're welcome to come on the show at some point in time and share your opinions as well. But thank you for hanging out, bro.
Watch out.
We also look at his. Sorry, go ahead, Don.
No, I was gonna say just watch out, Stick. That's how you ended up getting a relationship with Mel. So just fight it over one time.
Whoa.
No, that's how he becomes a permanent panel member. It's just that one first time.
Yeah, I was only supposed to be on for 2 shows. All right, go ahead.
That one time at band camp.
Very good. We also look at the fact that right now within the game community, there's a lot more talk than play at this point. Look at the biggest games right now. You get a lot more people talking about and hyping up as far as buying them at this point. So you look at NPD and how they chart in Europe as well and other countries as well. You see a lot of people are BSing out here at this point because people will hype up and down single-player games. You see them throughout this generation as like the king of the industry. But when it comes to revenue and money, like they're not the top at this point. They outclass and beat the recurring games and service there are right now. So like at this point, like people say they want these games, but developers seem like you're not playing, they're not supporting it at this point.
You're not making money off it. It comes out
perfect
of money.
example. Hellblade will hype the game to high heavens at that point. And did they even crack 1 million at some point?
It did.
3 platforms.
No, it made its money. Before.
Okay,
it was looking questionable for a while when they did like the staggered release. But no, they finally got what they were looking for and stuff like that. And they've done.
It goes on both sides as well because there are single games who have not been successful and games of service also not been successful. So you really have to balance it out at that point. But like developers looking at the industry as a whole, they're seeing what's probably the more safer route for them to go going forward at this point. Because they can make a single player game just like only offer you that like weak experience. After that, it's done. They're not going to add any more to it. You really got to knock that apart with that first iteration.
Well, I mean, you got to think about any product that you guys purchase, like a microwave, a fridge, or anything like that. You know, you look at how much time they use to whatever develop that product, right?
Yeah.
How long is that product viable on the market? It's much longer than a video game. And if you look at the R&D that's put into a video game, right? And yes, you can have a lot of success, but it tends to be a little bit more upfront on development costs, and the window's smaller. So that's a real issue. Like gamers don't understand that's a problem that they're not putting the two pieces together, because that money to develop a game is coming from a publisher. That publisher has money and it's choosing where to invest. The question is, what happens if they decide gaming is probably not worth the risk? Right. So like these are real issues that the industry is trying to address. And I understand gamers are upset about things, but they also got to have to look at the dichotomy of all this sort of stuff. So
oh, my bad.
Go ahead. No,
I was going to say when it's all said and done, we do have other topics that we got to go through. You know, breaking news when it comes to I think the mayor of Boston or something like that. But I forgot.
I guess they called out Sony and saying they're supporting a stereotype, like, as far as like people being against it, Chinese ethnicity for the coronavirus.
I don't know. I think this is going to be a topic that will be talked about again, you know, in the future when it comes down to it. I mean, I do like having, you know, more content for the franchises that I love, but I'm starting to feel like I have an obligation to go in and get stuff done, to the point where, you know, when I start up my Xbox, my first two thoughts. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. But my first two thoughts were, you know, are kind of like the two games that I've been like, you know, grinding on to get like this gear and stuff like that before it goes away. But I do like with what Don said about, you know, streaming and stuff like that. We know that, you know, Microsoft has xCloud. They want to tap into the quote unquote casual gamer, the more mobile gamer. They want to tap into those billions of gamers out there. So their structure when it comes to their development studios, how they're all working on like 3 projects at a time. You know, one of them might be a game as a service, but there's 2 other projects there that are kind of fill out like every other aspect of video gaming per se. I do kind of like what they're doing with that, because I think when it's all said and done, you know, they'll have their developers make their GAAS, their game as a service, but they're going to have multiple projects to the point where, you know, other games are going to be coming out that aren't necessarily like that. And I think Microsoft is thinking about the entire community, the entire industry.
I think you look at it from a mobile gamer perspective, which is a viable market too to tap into. But you're also looking at gamers. I think I call them lost souls, right? They used to game, they enjoy games, but they just haven't made it a priority, right? And so they hear about it like whatever, the next Halo that's really cool, or the next Gears that's really cool, and you know they're like, man, I'm not gonna spend $250, let alone $600 when the new systems come out, you know, and buy a new console. But they'll be willing to play that game, and they don't play games all the time, so latency is probably not going to be a big deal to that particular person, or right? They haven't been playing games the whole entire time, so like it's been 6 years, so streaming quality is going to be better than what the last thing they played, right? So like you get into this market, I think what I call lost souls, that where the market keeps growing ever so slowly, but those people are still viable customers. We just don't have a way to reach out to them, and streaming offers that way for them. And so I think that's something people don't look at either.
Yeah, great point. And like I said, it's something that we're probably gonna touch on again in the future. We'll see how the evolution of gaming goes, and you know, this show isn't planning on going anywhere anytime soon. So with that being said, let's talk about the coronavirus, people. Sony made news this past week. Are you okay? Are you?
I'm sick. I might have the corona.
Are you? Well, the good news is the fatality rate is really not as high as people are thinking when it comes to the coronavirus. So your odds are pretty good that you're going to survive. All right, Pred? But Sony made news when it comes to PAX East, which is a video game conference that's really close to home when it comes to me. I live in Connecticut. It's up there in Boston. All right. Now, Sony backed out of PAX East saying, you know, because of the coronavirus outbreak. And, you know, at first people were really like, well, really? Because, you know, Boston's not in China, and China is where the outbreak kind of like started. Why are they doing this? But then not only that, they also backed out of GDC. Now you have Facebook also backing out of conferences because of this as well. Now, when it comes down to it, Sony, they did put down money for their spot at PAX East, and they lost out on that money. So that leads me to believe that what they're thinking, they're thinking they're doing this for a viable reason. But a politician came out of Boston talking. He wrote a letter to Sony asking for them to reconsider showing up for PAX East, and basically the way he stated it was, you know, base your decision on facts and basically not on fear mongering or false information. So I don't think he was saying that Sony was lying, but I think he was trying to insinuate that their idea of possibly catching this virus in Boston is based off of false information, and they should look into it more. So I'm going to go with Crispy on this one first, and then I'm going to go to Operation. But Crispy, what do you think about this? The politician from Massachusetts, I forgot if it's governor of Boston or mayor of Boston. Mayor. I was right the first time. All right, awesome. What do you think about his letter here and what he's stating? Do you feel like that is legitimate, or is he being kind of like a true politician and wanted to have kind of like all the bells and whistles for the conference that's going on in his city? What do you think's going on here? What's your opinion on what he wrote to Sony?
Let's be honest for a second, okay? I mean, America has made all of the right moves in saying, look, if you're from this region from China, if you're not a person that, you know, actually has, you know, lives in the U.S., you're not coming here, okay? And that's number one. Like, a lot of people don't look into the government aspect of it, but the government's basically shutting it down. If you're coming from China and you live in the U.S., you are going to get quarantined for a period of time. And now I'm hearing not just 14 days, but 20 days, because, you know, there are
Mega
carriers.
said 14, so I don't know, but
There are carriers.
It's 24 days.
Oh, damn.
Well, actually, more than that. Yeah.
It's 24 days. They can truly get identifier. My wife is environmental. My dad's environmental health specialist. My wife is a nutritionist. She has to study all this stuff, so it's 24 days.
So, you know, we're taking the proper precautions. I mean, we haven't sat back and said, no, we're not going to prepare for this. And, you know, I mean, Boston is densely populated. Let's not get that out of the head. Like, I know a lot of people see New York and Los Angeles doing that, even San Diego, you know, but Boston is very densely populated.
Hold on, real quick, Crispy. Dreadpool. Yo, first off, shout out to Dreadpool. It is cool seeing you in the chat, brother. We got to get you back on this show. Dude, I miss talking games with you, bro. He said the mayor of Boston is an Xbot. He's not the Xbot, because that's me right here, but he's an Xbot. Yo, thank you for the super chat, brother. Truly appreciate it. Crispy, what do you think? Is the mayor an Xbot?
My God, I don't know. I don't look into these people. Like, the fact is that, you know, clearly, I mean, and you can go and say, well, they really want PlayStation there, right? I mean, you can go look at that. But in the end, you know, what they're saying, and I said this, like, you had one confirmed case. I don't think it's went up in Boston at all. I mean, you can go, like, and look right now. Maybe I'm wrong, but at the point in time when I looked, there was only one case in Boston, and they were quarantined and all that happy horse shit. But in the end, you have to understand that maybe PlayStation doesn't want to show The Last of Us stuff. I mean,
they lost money on this though, so they were definitely planning on going.
Lost money, but how much lost money compared to actually filling the space did they lose?
Well,
that's what I go and say.
They're going to lose money and some mind share at the end of the day.
But you have to fill the space. You have to put all the hardware there, everything else. You know, if you're really concerned, you could make everybody wash their hands as much as possible and wear masks. Like, you have to understand that this big city is already, like, LaGuardia has probably, like, got all kinds of people up in there. You know what I mean? And they're probably like, okay, like, we're going to check everybody for everything. We're going to do this and that. Like, the government has already established this. You know what I'm saying? So that's why this mayor came out and said this, in my opinion, is that, look, we are making the proper precautions. We are being cautious. You know what I mean? We are understanding that this could become something bigger. But you have to also understand that in America, 15,000 people a year die from the flu. So,
dropping numbers. Holy shit.
Okay. So you have 15,000 people die from the flu, and you're going to go and say a super densely populated area in China is the reason why we're not going to go anywhere else.
Well, it's not just China. It's not just that area. They also pulled out of GDC.
Where's GDC located? Like, where?
San Francisco usually. I don't know where it is this year. But it's in San Francisco, and the same excuse was given for GDC.
Okay, so isn't, like, Sony America is in California, correct?
Yeah, well, I have a quarantine map right here, right? So of everything. And
why do you have a quarantine map, sir?
Hold up, it's really easy. So to give you an idea, these are confirmed cases because we don't know what we don't know, right? But when it comes to Japan right now, we have 122 confirmed cases. In the United States, we have 35 confirmed cases as of currently right now. The locations are San Diego-ish area, near Long Beach, Los Angeles, like LA area, just south of San Francisco.
Damn, all West Coast.
In San Francisco. These are the West Coast. Well, the reason I point these ones out, these all relate to GDC. What's also interesting, they also relate to where their studios are located. So where their studios are located are direct correlation to where these quarantine areas are already. So like that's why it doesn't make it really a valid excuse in these situations, because
So maybe we should be thanking them because they don't want to spread it to
no,
the East Coast.
no, but they don't have.
I'm joking.
They don't have confirmed cases, right? Like those individuals. So like the thing is, they don't have any worse risk. Like Sony Santa Monica, they don't have any worse risk. Naughty Dog, they don't have any worse risk. They're down in LA area these days. So those studios, some of their big top end studios, don't have any risk because they have cases where quarantines are in their area, in their vicinity, just as close as if they went to PAX East. And then you have Japan, like where Sony's primarily run out of, right? It has over 122 cases, and we only have 35 cases in the whole entire country. Like, so if you add the math, it just doesn't add up why they're giving that excuse. I don't know why they're not going. And they can say it's for their employees all they want, but if that's the case, I better hope they're letting them work from home, or some other state like Nevada, so so they're further away from those cases, right? It's one of those things that's like, yeah, I mean it's not as big of a deal as they're trying to make it out to be, and it just doesn't add up. It just if you do the math and you look at the math,
are you calling shenanigans on this then, bro?
I don't believe them.
Oh,
see,
so I mean,
Don, I thought you were going to disagree with me, and I actually
no. I'm not trying to pick on them either, because that's pointless, right? Like, but it doesn't add up. If you look at the map, you look at where the confirmed cases are, you look at the different countries, who has more confirmed cases versus another country. If you look at where their studios are located and where those quarantine areas are, they're not at any more risk going to PAX East as they are going into their own doors of their own studio. It doesn't add up.
And that's what I was thinking. I didn't go into the numbers like you, which I appreciate, but I'm also a little concerned that if they're making a big deal about this, then how are they going to treat manufacturing in the same country that has 74,000 cases? I think something like that.
I mean, they are talking about manufacturing being an issue moving forward and stuff like that. I see because I kind of keep my ear to the news and stuff. I've been doing that for years, and there have been other viruses that have been like that have come up. And one thing I've noticed is, like, one day they're here and it's a major issue, and then the very next day, like, it just disappears. Like,
they already have a vaccine for it, right?
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they've had a vaccine for about a week now. But what they're going through the testing, right? They can't just introduce a random vaccine.
No, because there could be major side effects that they don't know about when it comes to people.
So that's the only thing they're doing is they're doing the testing right now. But they already have, I think, 3 possible cures already for it, because they can track down the origin of where the virus was in regards to that. So, I mean, it's like a big deal to elderly or people that are unhealthy. But most people that are healthy, this is really not a main issue. But they don't want it to become something bigger. That's why it's getting such tension. And to Xbox credit, yeah, things will disappear. I mean, remember the bird flu? Remember everyone was talking about the bird flu? That was a big deal.
Mad cow disease,
bird flu, swine flu, H1N1, like,
yeah.
And
there's a bunch of different stuff. So I mean, like, they have solutions for this. There are protocols for that. It's just, I think we caught it a little bit later than we normally thought of, and it's interesting because of the country of the origin of it, right? They handle things a lot differently there than we do.
Oh yeah, no, there were people walking around with guns, walking into apartment buildings like that, like.
They're welding doors shut. They have drones flying around with Prel. I heard. I don't know how much it's true and how much it's not. Like, I don't know that, but I can only confirm the numbers that have been reported cases.
Yo, Hazard Man says, if we want World War Z, give the vaccine now. Do it. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Operation, what do you think about this? Mayor Boston come out and basically said to Sony in a letter, or most likely an email. Let's be real here. Like, does anybody write a letter anymore? In an email, saying, base your decisions on, on fact other than kind of like false information. What do you think about that? And then we're going to go into another part of this topic after, everybody on the panel gives their opinion, bro.
Well, he really hit the nail on the head with this one, like, because we really discussed this on GRG last night, but, like, Bloody elaborated yesterday. It's really close to no reason for them to be concerned at this point. Like, for all intents and purposes, it's contained. If they're really pulling their employees from PAX East due to the virus and GDC as well, there's a lot of hypocrisy that lies within it as well. Like I mentioned earlier, like this is concerns them are letting our employees work from home. At this point, they're so worried that they're going to contract the virus from going out over to PAX East at this point. So like it's really a ruse at this point. Like as far as like their specific reason for not going at this point, I'm not believing what they're saying right now. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna go down the line and saying they're scared of Microsoft. That real correlation to that PAX East.
Yeah, people saying that, man. Yeah. Get calm down, people. Calm down.
Yeah, there's really no correlation at all. As far as something being wrong with it, for Last of Us Part 2, I don't know. Maybe. Like, that's really just a theory at this point. I really can't put no weight behind that as well. So, it's really up in the air. But, like, right now, like, this excuse they're running with right now, I'm not feeling it at all. Even, like, Square Enix, they pulled out of PAX as well, I believe.
They pulled out of PAX as well, but
yeah, I really have no idea what was going with that as well. So like, it's just
they looked at it. They're like, well, if Sony can do it, then yeah, we're out too.
The weird thing is, it's in complete conflict to what they were saying. Why they didn't go to E3, right? They said they were going to go to not go to E3 to do smaller venues. PAX is a smaller venue.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not doing PAX, then what are you doing? If you're not at GDC trying to win over developers, right? On your hardware,
which is amazing to me right there.
Which is a customer as well, just to be totally clear. Then where does that put you position wise in the mind share from the development community? Like these things affect them. They have a console to release this year. I think they do. Everything I know they do. So like, if they're not going to do these things, then we're going to hold them to their word of. They are going to be out there. They are going to do things. What are they going to end up doing? I don't know. I can't think of the things they're going to end up showing up to.
Don, I have been watching this, and when I first heard Sony talk about, well, they thought E3 was going to be a more consumer-based conference. They thought that was going to evolve into that, and since it really, it's still kind of like teetering in between. They're like, we're going to concentrate on the smaller venues, get our games in the gamers' hands. I took them for their word. But one thing, because you're like, I don't know where they're going to show it. One thing, like the other side of my brain that's kind of looking at this kind of like skeptically is I'm looking to see if they only show things that, when it's under their control. They're Sony kind of like sponsored gaming events.
I don't blame them for that. I I mean, that's just.
I think stuff needs to be shown on a neutral ground and let people, when they come out and say something, let people go in and see for themselves and be like, well, they were, they weren't telling the truth about this or they were telling. I think we need those neutral zones to kind of keep everything a little more even. When it comes down to it,
I understand where you're coming from on that, but you got to understand that that's their job is to make their product show in the best possible light. Now, if you're not sold on a product because of how it was presented to the people that relay you the information, I mean that's up to the individual to decide, and then they'll have to learn from those experiences. But at the end of the day, like I don't blame them for doing that. That's just business. I don't take that sort of stuff personally or anything like that. That's just how these companies are going to be sometimes.
Hazard Man said PS5 reveal September. No, bro. No, don't do that, man.
Oh God, no.
You do wonder, because remember when the Pro came out, right? And we all knew about the Pro. Me from a different perspective than the rest of the community, but like everyone kind of at that point the cat was out of the bag. We all knew the Pro existed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't show up at E3, and you're like, "Where's the Pro? Where's the Pro?" Right? And then we find out the Xbox One X had the power advantage, and so they tried to do their own little event kind of Apple-ish type event.
That was around September as well, right?
In regards to that. So my question is that, what's motivating them to hold off on showing PS5, right? Like,
you better be careful where you're going, brother.
no, but no. I'm not saying who's more powerful or who's less powerful, but what's motivating them to push this out is the question that gamers are going to have to ask. It doesn't mean it's doom and gloom. It doesn't mean the PlayStation's done and over with, and it doesn't mean they can or can't get away with something. Like I think those are all silly conversations to have. But the question is why. That's the real question. People are going to speculate and they're going to come to their own conclusions. My thing is, if they wait too long, people will come up with the wrong conclusions, and the wrong narrative will take hold versus the narrative that they want to present for their product. And so they do have to be very careful on how they handle this. Waiting too long can hurt them. It can affect their mind share. Not having the right message and showing up too early can hurt them too, right? So they gotta get that balance right. And I just don't know where they're gonna do it. I'm curious because I want to see.
Let's be honest for a second. I mean, they haven't shown a whole lot lately. You know what I mean?
No, they've been reserved.
And I understand that. I understand you're ahead. You're ahead tenfold. You almost double what your competition has. The problem is that Xbox is not thinking of it that way. They're thinking of it, okay, we got people in Korea playing xCloud, and we got, people doing this and that with all of our gaming services. So they're like, you know what, we're fine with it. Like, you guys won the generation. Is that the way you want to look at it? Fine. We're good with that. But we're also going to sit here and say, you know what? We're not going to back out of anything if we can. And we're going to continue to give you, some kind of like little tidbits here and there. And this is something that PlayStation did at the beginning of last generation. Because we're going into a new last generation is the beginning, 2013, PS4, everything else. PS4 put the, they're like, oh, boot on the throat. We got you. Even with the stupid little, this is how we share games. You know what I mean?
Oh, that still irks me to this day, bro. Because we're like all digital now.
And you know what? It was a smart concept at the time because everybody was.
It's a guerrilla tactic, bro. I'm not down. I'm sorry. I like innovative marketing. I don't like kind of like cutting down the other people. You know what I'm saying?
So you don't like a CRT television that duct taped to the back of a bus with Mario Kart playing, because that's what Sega used to do back in the day. Talk about blast processing, like I get where people are coming from. Like I don't want to forge it against one console versus the other, because that's not the point of what I'm trying to say here. But they do have to win over the development community along with you guys. The question is, how long are you guys going to wait? And the other thing is too, they also have to balance out. They have some big blockbuster games that they're known for, right? So they have to give the proper time for that to shine and also their console to shine. But sometimes when you introduce new hardware, this is something that actually happens. When you introduce new hardware, sometimes your software sales slow down. And this happens with Xbox. This happens with Nintendo. This happens with Sony. No one's exempt from this, right? Sometimes your software sales slow down because when people are investing into a new console, they know
But we got backwards compatibility coming with the new systems
and Game Pass.
But it doesn't matter. That still there is a decline in sales. And this happens on the PC side of things when new graphics cards come out as well. So like the thing is, people only have a certain amount of money, right? So they take that money that typically they would reinvest into their library, and they start redirecting it towards their hardware purchase. So they're thinking it from that perspective too. Like they're not being dumb about it. Like the question is, when are they going to address their consumers, the developers, and you guys both? And then you guys, it has to do with the software and the hardware. What's
Let me
the
jump
timing?
in here real quick, Don, because I got to pick my daughter up in like 9 minutes. So
Go for it.
So, the whole coronavirus thing, I get it. I'd rather our country be safe and prevent something from spreading here, like it did in China.
Yeah.
And if they gotta put those put in place, specific guidelines where people can't travel here, I'm all for it. Whatever. If other people don't want to come, even though they probably could, and they decide they don't want to, if that's the excuse they want to use for whatever reason, fine, whatever, go with it. Like, we all know that all Sony has to do is tweet out a picture of the PS5 and it's going to go viral. That's all they have to do. They don't need a whole event for
Not
that
if
shit.
it's that fat X console, man. I don't.
It doesn't matter, dude. Like, even like how people were tripping over a fucking logo, you know, like, I mean, like they can literally just tweet this out.
Pred, what's the world come to, yo? People trip out over a logo. People trip out over an egg on Instagram. Like, what the hell is going on, bro?
That's the way the world is today, I guess. Like, you know, but like, if they do that, let's say they do something like that. That's something that simple. It saves them money, it saves them time. It's just like, boom, here it is. There you go. And then save the whole full up reveal for later on in the year after all this shit dies down. Because we all know that's all they have to do. Of course, they want the marketing. They want the, you know, they want to get the hand.
It depends. It's, you know, because they will see success doing what you say. Like, I don't doubt that. The question is, you want to maximize your success for the amount that you invest, right? So the question is, are they possibly missing out on some mind share handling of that?
Probably.
Right? And I would argue, yeah, they would. Is it willing to take the hit? I don't know.
Having this lead, I think that they could take the hit right now with the lead.
Take the hit, but here's the thing.
For now.
Here's the thing: is they're in a different position than Microsoft, right? So Microsoft starts the new console generation with
more power.
Hypothetically 40,000 consoles on the market. They're starting over, essentially, if you really think about it and how the two console manufacturers are different. So, I mean, they have to take that into factor. I know they're not just they're not making excuses for that sort of stuff right now. They're looking into it, and they're seeing how they can make up that gap as quickly as possible, and for when it matters the most.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about Sony's marketing. They've been killing it this whole
they've been good.
Gen. So, like, I think they'll be fine. It just sucks that they're not coming, you know, and supporting the consumers here because of what's going on, you know, in the world with the coronavirus thing going on. But I think they'll still make it up at some point in time and be able to put it that console in the hands of the people who want to play it and touch it and see it or whatever. So I'm not really concerned about that. Like you mentioned, I think you said mind share. I think that's a big issue too. But again, they already have mind share. Them not showing anything right now is just a loss. The less they show, it's a bigger loss for them over time. But I still think they'll make it up in the long run. So I'm not really concerned about them not showing up at GDC and not coming here for the conferences and E3 and stuff like that, because they've proven that they don't really need to over the past year or so. They don't.
Well,
really
I would say you always need to. You always need to. The question.
They've proven, like, I mean, I see what you're saying with the whole.
Yeah. You always need to. The question is, you're saying they can afford taking the hit.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think they can. I think they'll sacrifice that hit just because. And I think a second part of this whole thing too is I think Microsoft kind of threw them off guard when they revealed the Series X. Like,
it threw everybody off guard, dude.
They weren't expecting that, and it kind of forced them to move their timeline up a little bit with some things. And so I don't think they were prepared to announce, you know, the PlayStation 5 when they like the whole, even the logo reveal, I think was kind of like, you know, some bullshit. Like, I don't think they were ready to do that, but they felt like they had to respond. You know, in the past, you know, Microsoft basically tells you what they're doing, when they're doing it, when it's going to happen, and Sony's been able to counter that by preparing for it. And when Microsoft brought that Series X out, I guess it was like January, maybe December, at the Game Awards show, like, that was a shock to them, and they had no answer for it.
And to your point, like, I always thought Sony was a reactionary company to other people in the industry.
Oh yeah,
right. Like, even though they're a leader, they're still reactionary to what's going on out there, right? They have their finger on the pulse.
They always go second. Like, no doubt.
It's always been one of their strengths. It's always been one of their strengths, but it's always been like, you know, it was kind of like, man, is it all in my head? You know, looking at from my perspective,
yeah,
which is in the middle, where it's not just a consumer. I'm on the development side, but I'm not Sony, right? So, like, I'm always like in that middle, kind of looking at, man, they seem like they're very reactionary. I am thoroughly convinced they're reactionary after the Game Awards and how they kind of been behaving and how they've been acting. Like, you know, it doesn't mean they won't get it and they won't figure out what works for them, but it seems like they've always been a very reactionary company. I think it just, for me, I'm confirmed that all I need to confirm.
I feel like Phil.
But I'll be
punched
back.
him
I'm
in
gonna
the
pick my
gut.
daughter up, but I'll be back in like 10 minutes.
All right,
Yeah.
brother.
I feel like Phil punched him in the gut a little bit. Like, and you know what? And that's what I give credit to Phil. Like, the first thing he said is somebody else told me to do this. You know what I mean? And that's what it comes down to.
He didn't take it all himself. He said it was, somebody else in the meeting was like, "Hey, well, why don't we do this?" And it's like, ooh.
And you look at it and you think about it, it's you got every gaming console consumer that cares actually watching this. You know what I mean? And looking to, what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden you drop this. I mean, you could look at Jeff Keighley's body language and you're like, oh, he knows he's about to do something that he never thought he would ever do. Even, because
he didn't even know what they were showing. I thought they switched it
no,
up.
I believe I read a interview that he did know that they were doing something different than what they were showing, and that's all he was told. And he was basically given basically words in his mouth to say, like, look, something you would never expect, like he said, is about to happen. And that comes down to, Phil saying, you know what, we're done being just, this contemporary, we're going to do what everybody thinks we're going to do. and that comes down to, I mean, a lot of people ignore, like, a lot of Sony people have come over to Xbox real quick. You know what I mean? Like, a lot. So they're like, cutthroat. Sony's acted cutthroat this entire generation. They will cut your throat. They will put your face under the boot and call it a day. You know what I mean? Because they've done it and we've watched it. And that's where I go and say I agree with Pred, because in the end, Pred is right. Like, just go and release your hour demo and have somebody great play it, and people are gonna fucking drool over it with The Last of Us.
But
you know what I mean?
That they've been getting to the point where they're starting to be cocky again, and remember that's what hurt them during the PS3 era.
Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. The good.
Hold on, they'll be right there.
If you're gonna be the market leader and everything, right, and you're gonna do all that stuff, you have to have that level of you can be cutthroat, but at the same time you can't let it get to the point where you're cocky, because that's what also hurt. That's what also hurt Xbox, but that's also because of the Donnie D era. I was like, they were super cutthroat. They had great exclusives. They had great stuff, but at the same time, because of how cutthroat Donnie D tried to be, right? He ruined a lot of relationships, and then they tried to be too cocky with how they handled a lot of media and addressing, and then everything that he said at the beginning of the generation, and that completely hurt Xbox. Just like how the head of PlayStation back during the PS3 got too cocky and said what he said, and that completely hurt them the entire generation.
Well, also we got to come down to price too. I mean, if it's true that Series S is coming out, I'm gonna tell you right now, I know a lot of people that are gonna buy that. If that happens, a lot of people are gonna buy it, because it could be potentially $100 to $200 cheaper than the Series X. Now, me, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna make sure that I have the money to buy the Series X, and that's me, because like I want the best I can have. You know what I mean? That's the way I am, because I can go and say down the road, like, I invested in this console.
Brother, that's why you're on the next podcast. You want the best, bro. I'm saying.
Well, come on, you got the best here, baby. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? But in the end, you have to think of it this way. You hit both. You hit that casual, like, I'm only going to play Fortnite, but I want to see it in better graphics, which the Lockhart will give. Or you have the Series X. I want to play everything, like me, Xbox, probably everybody on this panel say, I want to play everything and higher fidelity, better frames per second. I'm going to pay the money, and I'm not going to, think twice about it. And you have both of those, and then you have PlayStation in the middle. And you know what? From what we see, PlayStation will be this, I think Series X will probably be $600. That's my opinion on it.
Thank you.
But even if PlayStation 5 is $500, and then and then the Lockhart is between 300 and 400. You have that lower tier that you can go and say, okay, you can play all the games that we come out with for the next 8 years or 6 years or whatever it is. You could play all those games on the Lockhart, and you could pay that, or you could have the best of the best and have it on the Series X for 600. And it, we don't know. They could say a couple games, controller, whatever it is. You know what I mean? They could throw a couple things. 6 months of Game Pass Ultimate. You know what I mean? Something. You know what I mean? Like, they can do whatever they want. And that's the point I try to make to people. Like, Xbox is in a position right now that they can go and say, we could do whatever we want. We could undercut you.
They
we
had
could say, we're
in this
lose
generation
$150.
Well, Crispy, in this generation, they kind of they cashed in early on what was going on, and they started making moves like going towards the next generation and kind of like the next thing in gaming, which is streaming and stuff.
Generation for a while. I mean,
yeah,
you saw the Hellblade 2 trailer. They've been thinking of it for a while. You know what I mean? Like that Hellblade 2 trailer was like, I was like, whoa, am I looking at real life? Am I watching TV? I don't quite know right now. But you have to realize that not everybody's looking at from a 4K TV and doing all these things. And I understand that. I get that. Like, but you go and watch it on what I watched it. I was blown away. Not by just a Series X reveal, but that Hellblade 2 trailer. I was like, holy crap. You know what I mean? Is this where we're going? You know what I mean? Because that like her mouth movements and everything else, like that was huge for me. And I understand that like some people will go back to PlayStation games and say, oh, they had some of that stuff in there. But the graphics involved on my TV were incredible. Like I just couldn't. Was I looking at real life or a TV show? Like I couldn't figure it out. And that's the point I try to make to people. Like Phil is not screwing around. Like Phil is quiet. He's a very reserved person. He's not messing around though. He's a gamer and he wants the best out of what he's doing. Well, and he loves gaming.
He's saying he's in the lab is what you're doing.
Well,
you get to work, right? Like that's what it boils down to. Yeah, he's doing all these interviews, but he's been positioning that battleship, right, of Microsoft, and he's been leveraging not just Xbox but the rest of Microsoft like no other leadership I've ever seen at Xbox. And this sounds like you're like kissing up to the guy, but the reality, this is what I've seen. And he's coordinated with different parts of Microsoft, and you, instead of looking at those other divisions within with the parent company Microsoft as somebody in the way, he's looking at it as they're an asset to help grow the Xbox brand. And that's how I look at him as a leader within Microsoft, within Xbox.
You took the words out of my mouth.
You take your pick, right? Like, it's like, why can't I use these servers that we have? Like, literally, people argue first or second all the time.
Still fucking talking.
Yeah, you man.
Damn, that was a quick couple minutes, man. That went really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair though, Don, that's kind of what Satya Nadal.
Yo, bloody, I don't know if you're away from your mic or if you have to turn it up, man. I want people to be able to hear you, brother. Even the last time it was a little bit low. Just this last part.
The mic and you have to be in the same room.
What I was trying to say is the fact of that's pretty much the entire aspect of what Phil's trying to do. That was the entire philosophy of what Satya Nadella has been pushing at Microsoft since he took over as a CEO. I don't know if anyone's actually taken the time to read the biography that he wrote.
No doubt, Brad.
But his entire philosophy was the fact of he broke the infighting between the heads of each of the divisions, unlike what had been previously established at Microsoft, which has been one of the biggest things that.
Yeah, and that happens at companies all the time.
Yeah, but he kind of helped kind of broke that aspect and be like, hey, look, let's all get on the same page. He's like, I want everyone to understand this. Let's all read this book and then talk about it. And he helped to really unify. And he kind of saw that after Phil kind of showed what gaming was capable of, and he brought him on. And then That's
I
when
don't.
that
I don't think that's
whole
just
conversation.
Satya's leadership, though. I do really think it comes from the
Oh,
philosophy of Phil too.
it definitely
You know,
comes
like
from.
it's a merger of minds, right? Like of way Satya looks at Microsoft and how it should be ran, and basically Phil is just saying like, why can't I use these toys that are over here, right? Why can't I
Without
use
a
the
doubt.
talent that's over here, and boost what I got, and so I really feel like I don't know.
I feel like it all comes from crossplay, dude. That's what I feel like, because Microsoft's been a PC-esque, company for years, like years upon years. You know what I mean? So you have all these assets sitting there in front of your face and you don't use them. And I feel like a lot of people before that wouldn't have used them. But then Phil's like, you know what? We're gonna do crossplay. We're gonna have all these things involved that you didn't think would happen. You know what I mean? And you know what? At first, we're going to take a hit. And how many people hated anything that happened, involved with Microsoft for years? Then all of a sudden,
Hold on, he'll be back.
That Microsoft was one of those companies, kind of like Sega, especially in the gaming space, that were ahead of their time. It's the factor that they have an idea well ahead of time, but it doesn't always come at
but
the right
this
moment.
time, Phil is not too far ahead of his time.
Yeah, this time he's actually right where he needs to be, and it definitely shows that his thought process on it was just right. Everyone else in the industry was agreeing with it, and that they were on the right aspect of where the mind share and the market share was going, because crossplay and cross regression, specifically crossplay, while itself is definitely demanded for, the biggest thing is cross progression. People want to be able to say, hey, look, no matter where I play, whether it's this system, or this platform, I want all this stuff, especially with the fact that a lot of games are online. Hey, I want all of my progress to be able to go anywhere I go. And a lot of people are just like, you know what? Yeah, just even if you're not all playing on multiple different platforms altogether, your data should carry over amongst all those platforms. And that's where the big push really started to come to help get crossplay going, was that push more for cross progression.
And let's give credit to Epic for a second, because they really pushed that too. You know what I mean? And Fortnite was a touchy subject with PlayStation.
They just turned it on real quick and then like, oops, shut it off.
But the thing about it is that Epic definitely had a force to play with that. It took them a while to kick in that cross progression, but when they did, guess the one who was left out of everything when they decided to, you'd be like, hey, you know what, we're gonna push the cross progression, crossplay aspect, is that, hey, guess what, PC, Switch, Xbox, all that carries over, but because of the exclusive skins that were PlayStation only, they're like, hey, they don't want to share those skins or anything like that. So I'm sorry, guys, but if you tie your Epic account to PlayStation, you can't tie it to any other account. And that's where that backlash, where luckily, using one of the biggest names in the online gaming scene, was useful to kind of help push that not necessarily that agenda.
It started like that waterfall.
It really pushed that, because people are just like, hey, why is only PlayStation not allowing me to carry over my data to any other platform if I'm still using my same account to here? And a lot of people really got onto Sony at that point with everything that was happening at Epic, when at first they were like, oh, Epic, what the hell? And it's just like, hey, look, it's not us, it's them. I'm sorry, guys. And that's when people are just like, hey, whoa, Sony's holding it back? All right, well, now we got to say something.
Yeah, when all of a sudden, when it comes down to one company that is the only one kind of like holding out on a feature that a lot of the consumers do want, it's going to force them to bend at some point or another. And, when it comes down to it, I'm pretty glad that they did, because now I'm going to be getting into PUBG again. Trying to party up with some PlayStation people out there.
Did you see that team deathmatch shit?
No, I will look into it, brother.
It looks good.
Sounds like I got a crew member already, yo. But guys, check it out. We are going on 9:15, and it is Saturday, man. We got to play games. I got to get back on my Destiny 2 grind. Huge Huge shout out to the chat. Almost 180 people watching tonight. Guys, thank you so much for the support. It's good to see a bunch of new people. I hope you guys are here next weekend as well. I hope you enjoyed the show, the gameplay, all the visual cues that were going on for the topics, stuff like that. I hope you really enjoyed yourself. I know I had a blast doing this show for you guys. We have to do, like a 40-year-old with a comb over, we got to get plugs in here. And I want to start with our special guests, our guys holding it down for K Mega. And I got to say, guys, you did an incredible job. By the end of the show, I'm like, K Mega who? Like, I almost forgot about my brother, man. It's amazing. I'm going to start with Operation. I know you're a part of the GRG, an extended part of the family here at Next Podcast as well. Why don't you let people know about that show? I believe you're on Smash Podcast as well. Why don't you let people know what shows you're on and where they can go to talk games with you, brother?
Of course, I'm on GRG every Friday with K Mega and the rest of the crew. It's pretty much another gaming podcast. That's also similar to the Next Podcast. We gotta keep all the BS out, just keep it real honest, real down to earth with people out there. Smash is a little bit different from the other podcasts as well. But this is really just a hub for nerd culture altogether. Just like a nice little getaway from all the game topics that we are used to. We're just throughout the whole week because we all know most have a couple of different game podcasts we go to as well. But as far as the community, there's not that many nerd culture related game podcasts that you have to listen to as well. So we'll have to be like a little light in the darkness for everybody to just come out and go through. On Smash Podcast, you can find us there every Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Central, or of course whatever time that's equivalent to your time as well. On Twitter, you can find me at Operation Opera as well.
Nice, brother. And I will put links to your Twitter in the description below once this show is processed, so people can definitely check it out.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we get a lot of people checking out the show after it's live as well. So, dude, great job. Hopefully you will be on again. I would love to have you on. I would love to have you on and Bloody on, kind of like as your own special guest at some point in time. And
yeah,
really,
of course, man.
All right. Bloody Baby Bot, they like to call you. I don't understand. I don't think we sound alike at all anymore. I don't know. I don't know if I grew up. I don't know if you grew up, but you are also a part of GRG, and I believe you are the creator of Smash Podcast. So, let people know our typical plugs and let people know where they can go and talk games, bro.
Definitely. Of course, they can always find me on GRG over there with K Mega and the crew over there holding it down. For those who don't know, I am Bloody Nux, aka the Gothic Gamer, as well as the Japanese enthusiast of gaming for Xbox. I do all that good stuff for everyone. I am the anime king, and that was kind of what came about when I created the Smash Podcast. As Operation put it, is that it is a very nerd-centric pop culture podcast. So while there's plenty of gaming podcasts out there, but there's only some great ones, a few dime a dozen. GRG and Next are definitely the diamonds out there. There's not many that are focused on pop culture. So anything nerdy news such as TVs, movies, comics, Japanese video games, or anime, we got you covered with all the news that come out, whether it's specifically about new trailers coming out or thoughts on new movies that came out. We got you all taken care of. Other than that, I was like, they can find me over on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and specifically Mixer, where I stream 5 times a week, all at Bloody_Nux.
Nice. Yo, Bloody. First off, huge shout out to Internal Lock hitting up that super chat, showing support for the channel. Yo, Bloody, do you have the show on right now? Because it's directed towards you, and we usually we kind of hand it off to the person it's directed towards. I don't know if you are a special guest. Would you mind reading that out for us, man?
Absolutely. So, Infernal Lock with that $10 super chat that says, "So Bloody, I'm sorry to bring this up. I was going to type it before, but I didn't have the money at the time. I add up the old Kingdom Hearts. Ain't no hardcore Kingdom Heart fun. Will paid $125 for no 10-year-old game." And that's fair. All right. So not everyone's going to want to do that. But again, you got to look at it, Infernal, is that right now it's 50 and 60 for both the 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8 remix. But don't forget that also includes all the other games that came with those, such as Dream Drop Distance, Replay, Chain of Memories, 358 Days Over 2, and the X Unchained cutscenes to get the story, because it helps to fill in everything that's happened over the years since Kingdom Hearts 2 was the last game to really come out. So that's why it is at that point. And as I said, when those came out, people thought that PlayStation was getting the sale. No, sit over on PlayStation, it's the same price as there, but right now it's currently on sale. So it is up to those who want to check it out or not. I do hope that you do enjoy the games if it is for you. I know I'm going to support them because while I still have my original PS2 copies of those games, I do want to play them on my platform now that Kingdom Hearts 3 has finally dropped. So I want to play the entire franchise on one thing.
Jeez, how big are your lungs?
Outro, bro. The outro.
Nah, it's all good, man. He's giving
he's good.
Infernal Lock,
amazing.
man. He threw down the super chat. Again, huge shout out to Infernal Lock. Thank you for the support, bro. When it comes down to it, I think Bloody's trying to say, first off, you're getting more content than what they just put in the title for those packages or whatnot. But at the end of the day, nostalgia is one hell of a drug, as my boy Mooch says, man. And there are going to be people that will pay all that and will be happy with it.
Me?
Yeah, exactly. Yo, Bloody, anime king over here. When it comes down to any Japanese games that I have interest in, I'm a big Rival Schools fan. I love that fighting franchise over there. But I'm gonna go to you to get the most detailed information possible. I think that's what everybody out there in the community needs to do, bro.
and I'm humbled by that. As I said, when I took on the moniker the Japanese enthusiast, it's because of the fact that that's where my passion and where my niche was, and as an Xbox fan, I was like, I have my PlayStation, I played it there, but I want to help kind of push people to be like, hey, look, we want these games on multiple platforms, so let's support it. So if you want to know about something, I got you taken care of.
Nice. And you can find Bloody tonight. Again, Bloody in operation. I appreciate you guys coming on. I know, Smash usually goes on at 9. We definitely run later, usually on Saturday than 9 o'clock. And I do appreciate the time that you gave us. Once Bloody gets back on Xbox, though, he's going to be going to Forza Horizon 4, and he's going to be practicing because he's got to get good before he races against me. That's all I got to say.
I think the first thing that I should do is probably beat you in Need for Speed. I was like, that's where I should probably start.
Are you talking Heat?
Bloody, just bring some touch-up paint. You'll need it.
You're done. You're done. Oh, shut up, Don.
Just bring some touch-up paint. You'll be good.
All right.
Well, speaking of Don, I think we've done this a couple times before. You got to let people know you stream on Mixer. You said you were doing some YouTube stuff.
Maybe someday.
Someday, dude.
Maybe someday I want to get around to it.
Dude, I remember when you first started your channel, when you first started doing stuff on your YouTube channel. Every single week, I'm like, so when's something else coming? When's something else coming?
The thing is, when I do put something on there, I won't even post it. I'm just gonna hide it. But no, the best thing to do if you want the central hub of whatever I'm doing, go follow me on Twitter. The Don _KTR. The links to everything I'm involved with is going to be there and future stuff down the road as well. But most of the time I spend outside of Next Podcast is going to be streaming on Mixer, which is the Don _KTR as well. You'll find me there. I'm on the road to, I think, 300 on the channel. So I'm off to the next milestone, if you know what I mean. So.
Nice, bro. Yeah, like I tell people all the time, when it comes to giving content out to the community, one of the main things you got to do is you got to be consistent. Because when you're consistently out there, there are going to be people that just absolutely like, the content that you're putting out there, and they're going to share it with their friends. I mean, look what's going on with Next Podcast. Every single week, we have seen growth here, and it's because of the new people out there and letting their friends know about this show and stuff like that. It's something I've seen for these few years I've been on YouTube, man. It's a great thing, Great thing.
Yeah, you can't stop, won't stop, right? You just have to keep at it. And honestly, Mixer is the easiest thing for me to keep things going. I wish I was able to do more creative streams right now, but I'm not allowed to do those right now. I'm I'm under deadlines and contracts I got to fulfill.
He's
so,
deep into projects right now that he can't talk about.
Projects that I cannot show what I'm working on. If it was my own stuff, like totally different, or if it's just some side project, totally different story. But when it's something under contract and under NDA, I can't show that stuff. So it's unfortunate. But I will be gaming, so you definitely can check that stuff out.
Nice. So. And I suggest everybody in the chat, anybody who checks this show out, you got to go to Don's Twitter and you got to hashtag DonB. Okay? That's exactly what you got to do. Crispy, my brother, never afraid to share his opinions on the gaming news, man. It's always awesome to get together with you and everybody else on the panel every Saturday. Why don't you let people know what's going on? I did talk about your mixer and stuff, but then you're like, let people know whatever you want to let them know, but also let them know where they can talk games with you, brother.
Well, and it's funny because, Xbot and me, we live in the same state, yet we never met each other, which I'm calling you out.
We got to get those Nerf guns, man. We're going all out, brother.
We're going in.
Got the coronavirus. That's why.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I already had the flu. I mean, the coronavirus is probably shit compared to the flu.
Dude, I think I had the coronavirus, actually, man, but it got better.
But in general,
that's the bird flu.
Fuck mad cow disease, motherfucker.
What are you trying to say, Crispy?
The Xbot chews on his own arm. Anyways, keep going, Crispy.
I go out in the backyard and chew on grass.
Grass, yeah, boy. At Crispy Bomb on Twitter. You can find me on Xbox Live, Crispy Bomb 28. Hit me up. I'm always down to game with anybody, I'll talk games with you. You want to talk about it? I'm good with that. And then you can find me on the next podcast every Saturday night. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And then Retro Renegades every Tuesday night.
Shout out to Graphic God.
Graphic God is the master. You see that? What Xbot's rolling with? That's Graphic God stuff right there. The man.
Hold on. I do my own graphics, but the Hangout.
He did mine.
I do my own graphics, brother. But no, my icon. My icon. The Battletoads icon is all Graphic God. Crispy Bomb's bomb with the gear sign on, that's all Graphic God. He does incredible work, and you can get your very own gamer pick or icon from the Graphic God as well. He has his own website. I am going to put it up on Twitter, so if you're following me on Twitter, you'll see his website on there within like the half hour.
It's xboxgamerpicks.com.
Nice.
And he is a genius. I mean, he literally threw that bomb in there in like 3 seconds. Like I became part of the Retro Renegade. And he was just like, bam, here you go. And he gave it to me for free because, I'm part of the podcast. And you got to come check us out. We're an hour before RDX. Come see us, man. Like,
it's the warm-up,
man. We just have
man.
fun. We just have fun, man. Like, that's what we do. And I'll tell you right now, Graphic God has done things with gaming podcasts that most people can't even fathom. I'm just saying.
People need to check out like what he does with Retro Renegades and how he has like the old school TV. And for people who don't know, Graphic God, he games with one hand. And he's gaming while Retro Renegades is going on. It's absolutely insane.
But he also slaps with the other hand.
I mean, I was gaming during the show tonight. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, you had to keep with what K Mega does, and I will say you paid more attention than K Mega while you were doing
dishes
it.
Too.
No, that's dishwasher simulator was going on. That's what Bloody was doing.
All right, well,
dishwasher simulator.
Let's get to Predator. I saved him for last on purpose because usually I kind of let him go first because he usually wants to get out. Yeah, he usually wants to get out and start gaming and stuff like that. So I purposely saved them for last. So Predator, why don't you let people know if you have any plans to be a special guest, anything you want to tell the chat, and of course where they could go to talk games with you, brother.
First of all, why the fuck did you make me last?
Dude, I never make you last. I had to tonight, man.
I'm over here trying to get the fuck off of here. I'm like waiting. Y'all motherfuckers long ass outros and shit talking about potato chips and shit.
You can
anyway,
suck my
don't be
if you don't chips, like my shit.
Oh, yo, Pred's got guns, man. Don't chill.
I'm be nice today.
I got a machete.
Pred's trained to use guns as well, so let's just leave it there, okay?
Yeah, and machetes. Anyways, keep going, Fred.
Yeah, Predator Space HOS, pretty much everywhere. Just follow me on Twitter, and you can find out where I'm going to be at. No shows coming up this week. Obviously, next podcast next week. Mm-hmm. So I'll see you guys next Saturday. And K-Mega sits on penises all day.
Yeah.
So throw that in there.
It's a new gamer chair, bro. What you talking about?
People don't know. That's why he had to take kind of like a little kind of like week or two sabbatical. Him and his girl got really crazy last night. And he woke up this morning and his ass hurt so bad. Like he was like, "Man, I can't even do the show."
What?
I don't know about. I didn't ask questions after that, man. I just like, all right, do what you got to do. We're gonna move forward, man. That's all I'm saying.
We went the whole show without any K-Mega talking shit. I had to throw something in there.
This is a cheap shot time, man. Keep on moving, man.
Yeah, if he's not here next week, we're gonna go in the same way as well. Yep. So yeah,
probably sooner than later.
Don't go in too deep.
Oh no, he didn't. Oh, guys, on that note, again, huge shout out to the chat. Thank you for hanging out with us this Saturday night. You guys are as much a part of this show as the panel is right here. When people go and check out the show after it airs, they see the chat, they see what you guys get into. You guys are a part of this show, and I really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't done it yet, hit that thumbs up button. I actually didn't say that the entire show, I think. Except for that one-time super chat, my bad. But hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe. We are over 4,000 subscribers. We are en route to 5,000. At 5,000, I will be giving away a console of the winner's choice. And that'll be good. I think that'll be right around, PS5 and Xbox Series X coming out. So if you want a chance to not pay for those consoles, have that bill go to Xbox 448 and get one. You need to subscribe here, yeah. But on that note, gamers got a game. We got to get the controllers in our hands, and I am going to end the show the way I do every week. We will see you next Saturday for the next podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody.
So seriously about K-Mega's bachelor party, who starts a bachelor party in a Kia? I don't get it.
Yo, we're out. Yo, that was great.